What's up, everyone? Welcome to Betamax. My name is Fidel, and joining me, as always, is Eddie and Birdie, and our special guest today, Evan.
Hi, I'm Evan.
How are you feeling about being on the podcast?
I'm a little nervous.
A little
afraid I'm gonna
nervous?
say something stupid.
Yeah?
You know, shit's going on in wax, man. What if I say something and like people are like, "What's up with that?" And then I got to be like, "I don't know, what's up with that?"
It's okay, we'll leave it in.
Yeah. No, leave everything in.
Oh, yeah, dude.
Yeah.
Nothing gets cut out. We've been trying to get Eddie canceled for a while.
I know.
So.
Cool.
Not yet.
Not
All
yet.
right, I'll say a bunch of slurs and we'll just say it was Eddie.
Yeah.
We kind of sound alike.
So I've been actually wanting to have you on for a while. We actually had planned to do it back in December. It was going to be me and you. But like plans fell through as usual.
I think it was for that sunny day show, right?
Yeah. So, but I'm glad we're doing it now, and especially because you just announced something that we can get to and the progression of things. But I want to talk. I kind of want to just. It's gonna sound a bit selfish, but I kind of want to go through our relationship.
Yeah.
Of how it became and where you stand now, and like how you got into like what you're doing now.
Okay.
So, do you remember how me and you became friends?
Vaguely, but I'm also, I think a lot of it is just memories that are like blurring together. I remember when you used to live on, it was the Cypress, right?
Yeah.
I remember like walking, I used to always walk by your apartment complex, and I remember seeing you like behind the bars of your current apartment complex, and I was just like, dang, that kid's big as fuck. Like, he's probably like old. Like, I thought you were like old.
Yeah.
And then, because we didn't go to school together. You
Not
went to
yet,
La Granada and all that.
Yeah,
right?
I went to La Granada, and I don't think we started going to school together until you were in 7th and I was in 8th at Wells.
At Wells, yeah.
Yeah.
But I think we had known each other
Yeah,
before then.
before that,
Yeah. But I just, remember being really little, and I would always walk with my mom to not Stop and Shop, ABC Liquor that was right there.
Oh, yeah.
We'd always go there, and I would always walk by your apartment complex, and just you and a bunch of like other little kids would be out, playing in the front. I'm just like, damn, who's that big ass kid? Like, dang, you like always look the same, like your pro club like shirts or whatever.
Hell yeah.
So I'd be like, oh shit, like and then that's vaguely what I remember. Like I think our earliest interactions with, well, not really interactions, but my earliest memories of you were like from that apartment complex.
Because like my earliest memory of you is at Bryant Park, actually. Like I would
Makes
always
sense.
see like this crusty ass punk kid at Bryant Park while I'm just like riding my bike through it. And you would always say what's up to me. We didn't know each other, but you would always like say, "Oh, hey, man,
I
what's
knew
up?"
you lived like around the corner from me, and I figured we were like close to like the same age,
Yeah.
So I was always like, like you were one of the normal people I would see in the neighborhood. There was just random people I'd be, oh, what's up? Like, never talk to you or don't know you, but it's like I see you like every day or like every week or whatever, things like that.
Yeah, but like as far as like formal meetings, I don't really remember. But another early memory I have actually involves your brother. Is seeing him from a distance, thinking it was you.
Yeah.
And I was like, Evan, like shouting out,
Yeah.
and then he's like, in his small ass fucking voice, "I'm not Evan, you dumbass. I'm his brother Josh."
Yeah.
And dude, that shit made me laugh
I
so
used to
hard.
always get so mad.
Yeah.
So mad when people would do that.
What would you call that area that we like? It's Arlanza.
Yeah.
But like as far as like, because I always consider like the epicenter of Arlanza, like the heart, I guess you could say.
Yeah.
Would you consider the same?
I mean, vaguely, I think, growing up, only knowing like those few blocks in Bryant Park as like Arlanza was like, yeah, of course, that was always the hub or like the heart of Arlanza. And then like getting a little older and like realizing that like, oh, Arlanza kind of extends and we lose Arlanza once we get to like, where La Sierra is and things like that. But I in my head, I think, it still is kind of like, the heart or the epicenter of Arlanza, because that's just all of our families were all intertwined in Arlanza, whether like, gang affiliated or not. It was just like, that's all that I knew as Arlanza.
And how like you grew up in that area? Like you were born into that house?
Yeah. So if I remember correctly, or at least from what I was told, he's my grandpa, but he's literally my great grandpa. He retired there after the military. He was in World War II. So before there was a neighborhood, there was like 3 houses there. It was like the 3 families that lived there. It was like, his last name or surname was Jacob. So it was like the Jacobs household. And then on the next corner was the Martinez's. And then there was another house on the other corner. And those three guys basically all got like land in those like houses from the military or the government. They're like, yep, you know, you can start building your neighborhood here, and then it's slowly built up there. That's just what I've been told.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But you grew. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, I think I was born in where the Lowe's is now. It used to be a hospital.
Oh yeah, my sister was born there too.
So I was born there. And
Wait, so the hospital you were born in no longer exists?
No.
Nuh-uh.
Oh, damn.
Yeah,
You know the Lowe's on Magnolia?
Yeah.
That
Yeah.
used to be Riverside General.
Riverside General. Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it was like a super crazy, shitty hospital. Like I remember reading and listening to a podcast about like bad hospitals and like, you know, haunted shit, and they were talking about Riverside General. Like,
Wow.
it was like poisoning people and stuff like that because there was just like gas leaks and whatever.
Wow.
People were like, people were just randomly dying. They didn't know
Oh,
why
shit.
or what was going on, and
Yeah.
then. So the hospital got like condemned, and then
That
you
sounds
know
tight.
during like right? during like the huge urban sprawl of like Riverside, you know,
Wow.
people were like, oh, it's cheap to like live here, it's cheap to develop here. They bought that and turned it into a fucking massive shopping center.
Yeah.
Now it's the Lowe's.
Wow.
Was that in the 90s or
I believe so.
Well, yeah, my sister, she was born there. She was born in 97.
also it's late?
So yeah,
back
like
then?
late
Yeah.
'90s, probably early
Early-
2000s.
Dang.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Because I was born in '89. I mean, I don't remember, but I was born in '89.
I don't remember when I was born
Yeah, I
either.
don't- you know, I'm not one of them.
Same.
Yeah, I'm not one of them.
I remember every minute.
I'm sure you did. But yep, born there and pretty much moved in Trey Street. Lived in Trey pretty much my whole life until 16, 17 when I moved in with Jose.
Oh, yeah. That's right. That's right. Well, how did that come about? Like you moving in with Jose, if you don't mind talking about it.
Pretty fucked up. So when was that? I think I was at least 16 or 17. I was going to school. I think I just started going to school at Alvord. And I was barely even at my house. It was kind of like I was spending all the week and weekends hanging out with Bobby and Jose and just crashing there. And I'd go home and sleep a couple nights and grab clothes and just come back. I was doing that like a lot. This is when they were living on Kitty Hawk.
No, it was Campbell, wasn't it?
Campbell, yeah. No, it wasn't. It was Kitty Hawk because I remember remember how Jose had his big room and there was that big closet that was
Yeah.
like.
But I remember dropping you off one time off of Campbell. It was after school. And like I spun out.
Oh yeah,
and
I'm confusing Campbell and Kitty Hawk.
Yeah.
Because Kitty Hawk was the street by Omar's house.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Was it?
Yeah, Kitty Hawk was
No.
it
Kitty Hawk's
wasn't.
by the airport.
Yeah, fuck.
Dude,
yeah.
he's lived in a lot of houses.
Yeah, so I've lived with them in 2 houses. So
Okay.
they were living, I guess, on Campbell, where you spun out and fucking shot dirt and,
Yeah.
and rocks and shit on me. I forgot that was Campbell, and then Kitty Hawk, was by the airport. Because I remember like being like, oh man, I'm in fucking North Side, like fuck this, like I'm from Orlando, dude.
Yeah.
Anyways. So I was just hanging out with them there all the fucking time. Anyways, I never wanted to go home. I fucking hated it. Like,
Yeah.
At that point, like my grandpa had died, and just so many like crazy, just fucking tweakers and just random street people just kind of moved in. There was like people living in tents in the side yard, in the backyard. Like my grandma had fucking turned the garage into this, or the carport into this weird, like just pit dungeon type like living situation where they would like fucking slam dope in there and stuff like that. So I would never come home. And I mean, we didn't have any money, so like shit would just break and not get fixed, or like we were like crazy behind on like bills, so they cut our power. So like I forgot who it was, like these 2 random ass fools just showed up with generators, and like we were running the house on generators and shit.
Holy shit.
Yeah. So it was bad. It was really bad. So it was like the least amount of time I can spend here, the better. So it was like, I felt bad being there all the time. So I would like come home for like, 2 or 3 days to like give Jose's mom and their dad like a break. Cause we're always there. And they were actually going to Disneyland one weekend, and they were like, oh, hey, like we're going to be out of town. Something like, what do they say? Like, oh, like, we're gonna be out of town, so like you gotta go home type thing.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh yeah, totally cool. And then like we're just hanging out at the house, and like it's just like weighing on me more and more. They're like, oh fuck, I'm gonna have to be there for like longer than I'm used to, because it was literally like a night or two, and then I'd be back at those days for like 4 or 5 days.
Yeah.
And I like broke down in their closet. I like was like, oh, like I'm gonna go fucking, I don't know, like, oh, there's something in the closet, or I didn't want to like cry in front of them, and like I was like sobbing, like weeping, and his mom came in to ask him something. She's like, what's that? Like, what is that? And Jose was just like whispering to her, like, oh, Evan's like fucking having some issues. He's in the closet, and I was like sobbing uncontrollably, like I had to go back there, and like just not having a fucking good time. And she like made me feel all right, and she was just like, it'll be fine. Like not that they didn't trust me to like stay there, but I think it was just like her grandpa or her dad, Jose's grandpa, lived there, and she's like, I don't know what he's gonna feel like with you just being here. I'm like, oh, it's fine. And she's like, okay, well, like we'll just give you a ride home. And I remember thinking in the car, I'm like, I'm not gonna make it through this weekend. Like I had really bad thoughts, and I was just like, this is it. And as we were driving to my house, she took a wrong direction. I'm like, what the fuck is she going? Like, we go the same way to get home every day. Instead of going down Hillside Drive and turning right to go where the airport is, she went left and kind of went, down where like the Bakers and like the plaza and all that is. She drove me to like a Vaughn's or a Ralph's. And I was like, oh, maybe she's going to get like a drink or a snack. She went in and she bought like tickets for Disneyland for me. She took me to Disneyland with them.
Oh, fuck.
Yeah. And she was like, all right, we're going to go back to your house and like get as much stuff as you can. And I'm like, oh, we're only going to be there the weekend. And she's like, no, like get as much stuff as you can, type thing like that. And I was like, okay. And like, I'm like, fill the backpack or two up. And she's like, you don't ever have to go back there if you don't ever want to. And I was like, fuck.
Dude,
like,
that's tight.
Yeah. So I like loaded whatever I could like in a backpack and like went to Disneyland with them that weekend and just like never left their house other than to like go home to grab more clothes and shit like that.
Your mom never asked like...
She did. Like, I mean, she was like not like really present at that time.
Yeah.
I hardly saw her here and there. Like the hardest part was like leaving my sister because she was still there. Like my brother did the same thing. He pieced out super early. Didn't say anything to anybody. Would like go to his friend's house, stay a couple nights, come home. He kept doing that. And I remember like thinking, like looking around the house and being like, where's all of Josh's shit?
Yeah.
Like, cause we used to have this big, huge like hutch that had all of our clothes in it. So we, my mom would do all the laundry and we'd get clothes for school or whatnot. And like mine and my sister's little cubby was always full and there was like nothing in Josh's stuff. And like, I'm looking in the living room and I'm like, none of his like toys or his books or anything like that are here. And like my mom called over to this lady's house. She's like, is Josh there? And he's like, oh yeah, he's right here. And he like got on the phone and was just like, oh yeah, I'm not coming back. Like I moved all my stuff here.
Just all nonchalant.
Yeah, and he was like 12 or 13, if not like younger.
Oh shit.
Yeah, I mean she like lived around the corner. So he did that, and I'm like, fuck, I'm smart ass little bastard. Like what the fuck? But like I didn't want to like leave because my sister. But like I had to get out of there. But I don't think I saw my mom for a few weeks, and then I think she realized after like almost a month that like I hadn't been home. And I think I only went home to check on my sister to make sure she was okay. And the mom was like, "Hey, can we go for a walk?" Like, I'm like, "Yeah, sure. What's up?" And she was like, "What's up?" Like, I haven't seen you in a while. And I told her everything, and like let her know, like, fucking, if I had to stay there any longer, like,
yeah,
it'd be done. Like,
yeah.
You'd be fucking putting me 6 feet under. And she was just like, well, what can I do? And I'm like, it's been a lifetime of this. There's nothing you can do at this point.
You mentioning that Josh has like kind of dipped early.
Yeah.
Like going through like my memories, because I have memories of walking your house in the morning when we started going to Alvord.
Yeah.
And like we would walk from your house to Cisco's and then to the bus stop. I always remember your little sister in the morning, but I never remember seeing Josh in the morning.
Yeah, because he actually lived right by your old apartment when you used to live on Cypress. Remember how there was those big white apartment complexes where that dude got stabbed? You remember that?
Yeah.
Or one of my earliest memories is watching some guy get like stabbed and fucking pulled the knife up and just cut him.
Ouch.
Yeah, dude, it was nuts. It was like the sound of like if you've ever like poured water out of like a gallon and just hitting the ground was that, but like blood. Yeah, it was
gnarly.
dude. It was nuts.
What the
like,
fuck was that for?
gang shit?
Yeah.
Oh, hell yeah.
Yeah,
Because like he has that, and like I don't know if you remember. I think it was I believe it was Mario's house. Somebody got shot in the back,
yeah,
like in the backyard area. Like I saw that.
yeah. Oh damn.
Yeah, like me and do you remember Memo?
Yeah,
Me and Memo,
yeah.
we saw
Touched
that
my,
shit.
Broke my heart.
Yeah. Oh fuck.
I remember Memo
Yeah.
Guillermo. My mom had the biggest crush on that kid.
Really?
Yeah. He was handsome, but I think she would always just like fuck with him because she would call him Guillermo and he would get all red faced because he was
Yeah.
really shy.
Yeah,
so
he
she'd
was.
always like fuck with him like that. But yeah, I remember him. I think I remember hearing that, but I don't think I was there when that happened.
Yeah, because I remember we heard the commotion going on because I was at his house and
Yeah.
like from his like back side yard,
Yeah.
you could see like Mario's backyard.
Okay.
And then we saw like we were like, oh, we're about to see a fight right now. Somebody
Nope.
ended up getting shot.
Yeah. So yeah,
That's
I used
tight.
yeah I used to have a friend named Frankie Pacer who lived on Janet Street, which is right behind Trey.
Yeah.
And I was either leaving his house or I might have been leaving your house. I can't remember who because I used to either hang out at your house or his house.
Yeah.
And I was walking by and I heard the same thing. I was like, oh man, like fuck yeah, dude's gonna get fucked up. Like I can hear like they're gonna fight
Yeah.
and then. Oh no, it wasn't a fight. And I remember just standing there and like in that moment, I feel like it changed my life. Where I was just like, fuck. Like
Yeah.
I literally watched the soul leave somebody's body.
Fuck.
So scary. Well, anyways, next to those apartments was like a couple like small bungalows.
Yeah.
And it was apparently she was our cousin, but like through marriage. Her name was Kim, and she had a daughter named Ashley and a son named Levi. And like Levi was my brother's age, and they went to school together, and they were really close. So he just like moved in. He was always hanging out with Levi anyway, so like, he just moved in there. But anyway, I was like, he did it so genius, like on the slide. Nobody even knew. So yeah, like we meet up in the morning to walk to the bus stop, and yeah, it just my sister would be chilling, waiting either to get picked up on the bus to go to school or just not.
There was this one time when I got there because it was always the same thing. I'd knock, she would answer, and then she would either let me in or she'd be like, okay, I'll go get him. Mm-hmm. There was one morning I remember I was like, oh, like I'm here to get Evan. And she goes, oh, okay. And she just walked away. So I assumed she went to go get you. So I'm waiting. The door stayed open. And then I'm waiting and you're not coming out. And I was like, what the fuck? So I remember I peeked my head in and I see her like watching TV with a bowl of cereal. And I was like, oh, like where's Evan? And she's all like, oh, he's in his room. And I was like, oh, I'm going to go get him. And she's like, okay. So I remember walking back there and you're asleep.
Yeah, I remember you waking me up.
And I was like, hey, dude, like, let's go to school. And you're like, oh, dude, I feel like shit. Like, I'm going to stay home.
Yeah.
And I was just like, oh, okay. Like, all right, cool. Then and I was walking out. And as I was walking out, she was like, yeah, he's not going to school today. I was like, all right, thanks.
Yeah.
I just left.
Yeah, I remember being like so scared because I used to not have a door. I just had like a sheet. And I
Yeah.
remember I heard somebody coming upstairs and I was like, doesn't sound like Brianna because she would either she'd be asleep and I would wake her up or she would wake me up or whatever. And yeah, and you poke your head out and I looked up and I was like, oh fuck, like,
Yeah.
I was not expecting to see you there.
Yeah.
I remember that.
That shit was funny. So, how long were you guys living at the house right there on Campbell with Jose? Do you remember before going to the Kitty Hawk house?
Not long, because I remember they were renting because they bought not the Kitty Hawk house. Well, yeah, the Kitty Hawk house. I think they bought that house, but they were living in Campbell, and then I think they moved to the smaller house that was right by Omar's old place or Omar's house. I forget what street that was on.
It's like in that area. Like Mia lives in that area too.
Yeah. So they were. I can't remember if they were living there. No, because they were living there first, and then they moved to Campbell. Because I remember we were all like living at that house, or not living, basically living, but we were all hanging out at that house. And when we were moving, they were showing it. I remember me, Jose, Bobby, and some other random ass fools. We were all fucking in there like tired because there was no AC. We were like dying and sweating from moving the whole time. And the realtor like opens the door and there's just like this tiny room with a bunch of like smelly, gross, like half naked boys just like laying in there dying. And the look on this family's face, it was like so comical. There was like a little girl and like a mom and a dad. They're like, oh my God, like there's people here. And they're like, yeah, we were in the middle of moving. The house looks like shit. They haven't cleaned it. They didn't ever took care of it.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I think I don't know. Maybe we were at that Campbell house for maybe a year or two, and then they ended up moving to Kitty Hawk.
Because it felt very quick.
Yeah.
Felt very quick.
It's like they bounced from how because when because they were originally from like L.A. or like not L.A. Well, maybe
It was like Echo Park almost,
Yeah.
and then I think they went to Harupa.
yeah.
I think.
No, are they in Rupa now?
No.
No.
Because I know from what I remember, Jose telling me he went to, I think it was like Harupa Junior High or something with Nate from Zabalba.
Yeah, they maybe were there for a couple months, if that. Because
Yeah.
Josh actually met him and Bobby first.
Oh, really?
Yeah, he met them. I think at what school was that?
Josh, your brother Josh.
Yeah. No, I think he met them like it was like after school. I think at like Wells because they used to live because Omar and whatever school that was like on top that hill, so they would walk down and go to I think it was Wells.
Wells, yeah.
Yeah, something. So Josh met them there, and like Jose had like his like punk vest on or punk jacket on and like an acoustic guitar, and Josh was like talking about, oh, I met this dude, he's all punker, and I'm like, fucking poser, like, there's no way you met like a punk or whatever, like there's nobody who's punk around here, and I think he knew them like a week before I met them.
Because I met Jose in Novi.
Yeah.
Because I remember him showing up, super tight jeans, big hair, had like some anti-Pepsi sign with him.
Something.
Yeah. But yeah, like you guys became pretty close, right? Like pretty quick, like at Novi.
Yeah. Because Josh and Bobby were so close in age, like they were really good friends, like off the bat.
Yeah.
And then Jose was the older brother, and he was really close in age with me. So I was like, well, I don't really, I don't have much in common with Bobby, but I do with Jose. We're closer in age. So yeah, we became pretty cool, like really quick. But I mean, back then it was like Omar and I were like inseparable.
Yeah, I remember that.
When I first met Omar, he was really good friends with this guy Miguel, who was super good at skating.
Yeah.
And he'd always hang out with him. And then like Omar never really skated, or he would have a skateboard. He would like hang around, but like he wouldn't skate like because Miguel was so good. We'd all just sit and watch him. But he started hanging out with Miguel like less and less and less, and like Omar and I would hang out like more and more and more, and like, yeah, I mean, for a few years there, it was like you couldn't find one of us without the other. Like we were like attached to the hip.
Yeah, I know.
So yeah, like we were always cool with Jose, but I was always like, oh, this is like Omar is like my best friend. So I was always with him, and then like slowly like we kind of like lost touch or whatever, and then like. I was hanging out. We were all hanging out together, but like I spent more time at Jose's because like Omar's family, they were always super nice, and they would always be like, hang out and crash there. But I was like, all right, guys, like you can't stay here more than a day or two.
Yeah.
Like he had a little sister, little brother, like an older like grandma and whatnot. So we were like, well, Jose's parents were super cool. We can stay there, fucking do whatever, So like he and I got really really close together, and then of course when we like moved in together, it was like. It was my fucking brother. Like, I spent all day, every day with him. For better or worse.
How did we like start the whole like Del Taco shit?
I mean, just walking home from Novi, like before we went to Alvord, we would leave Novi and, walking down, there was always that Del Taco right
And it was
there.
always like the same group of us. Like,
Yeah.
And
Well,
then
because it was like we all, like me, you, and Omar, we all went to Novi together. And then Jose came a little later because I think he came... I was a junior, or not a junior. I think I was either a freshman or a sophomore.
when Jose came?
Yeah, and
Yeah.
so and you were like always a grade ahead of me. So I had to have been a freshman because I think you were a sophomore.
Yeah.
Because when I went to Alvord, I think I was a sophomore.
Oh, okay. Yeah, because I
think
was a
so.
junior when I went to Alvord.
Yeah. So he started coming to school with us, and yeah, we would all just hang out in that weird little area of like the quad.
Oh, yeah.
Just like the randoms, like skaters and fucking burnouts and just like punks, whoever, just the random kids that just kind of all got along with one another. We would all just like hang out there. But like when school was
The
over,
dirty ass motherfuckers.
yeah. It's like when like Trevor and Robert Kuchek and all them, like we were all cool with them, and I would skate with them, but like they would go wherever, and then I was always like you, me, Jose, and other random stragglers would just fucking walk, usually either to his house or to my house, and we'd always stop at the Del Taco and just scrounge up some money.
Do you remember when we got banned? Me
Yeah.
and you specifically?
I don't remember that. I remember Omar standing on the counter, and they were like, "Sir, like get down." He was like, "What? This isn't my house."
Yeah.
and then they kicked us out. I don't remember. Us
Me and
getting
you
banned.
had got banned because we were throwing pennies at each other. I don't know if you remember that.
I don't remember that.
It was empty. We were the
Yeah.
only ones in there, and I was sitting in one booth, and you were sitting like 4 booths in front of me, and we are trying to bounce pennies off of each table to get to each other. And then the manager kicked us out.
Annoying asses.
Yeah, dude.
And
Always.
I think in that same day, Omar had like a maxi pad, and he put emptied a bean and cheese burrito into it and threw it onto the ceiling.
So gross.
That's tight.
But it was like, yeah, we got banned, and then like 2 days later, we were there again, and they didn't say anything.
Yeah, they didn't tell us shit.
It's funny. I feel like I'm younger than you, a couple of years, so like we continued that tradition.
Yeah.
It was like your brother Josh,
Yeah.
Brandon, Val, all them. So like that was our hangout spot too.
Yeah.
Like later on.
Yeah, I mean, because like, it just seems like every generation of like kids would kind of either, if we weren't hanging out at like, was that George the Greek? It was like
Yeah.
right across from Novi.
Yeah.
We'd be at the Del Taco, or was it Papi's Tacos, which was, or Tio's Tacos. I
Oh,
think.
across the street from
Yeah.
Del Taco? It was always a different taco
Yeah,
place.
because I remember we went and ate there once, and it was really good, but it was like, it was expensive compared to Del Taco. So we're
Yeah.
like, well, you know,
then-
between
yeah, and that
8
Del
of us,
Taco-
we can scrounge together enough to get a couple like French fries and bean and cheese burritos.
And then that's when they had the macho fries in the
In the
cup. You would always tape the bottom of
Yeah.
the cup to put soda in.
Yeah, well, because so they handed us the fries in a cup, and sometimes they would forget. They would usually crack the bottom on like a
remember
counter, or they would forget to do that. So we'd always like, fucking hell yeah, free soda, or
Yeah.
I would just use like tape and like receipts and stuff like that, and it would just still on the bottom or whatever.
It's all drinking. It's all dripping. He's like,
Yeah.
fuck it. I'm still drinking it.
Yeah, exactly. But it was like, they were older kids. They were, like, oh, everybody's like there, like people that we knew from high school who were like seniors or whatever. Like, oh yeah, like everybody just hangs out at Del Taco. So it just was like stragglers would kind of come and then go, and then the next generation would kind of come in.
And I just remember we'd always do like dumb shit, like walking home after
yeah.
Del Taco, like, because there was like that free clinic right there too.
Yeah.
And I remember me, you, and Omar, and I think Cisco went in there and just got a bunch of condoms. And like
Yeah.
Omar was opening them up, unrolling them, spitting into them, and
Yeah.
putting them on people's windshields.
Yeah,
Like,
just
as we're walking home, dude.
Just stupid,
Terrible.
stupid.
And I remember
shit.
one time in the rain, I like dared you to walk home in your underwear, so you took all your clothes on. You're wearing like a leopard Speedo.
Yeah, yeah. I think Mia got that for me as like a joke.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I think so. And I was just like, yeah, fuck it, why not? Like it's
Yeah, you're rocking
yeah,
them.
exactly.
But yeah, it was pouring rain, and you're just in your backpack, the fucking underwear and your shoes.
Yeah.
And then the famous fist on your shin.
Dude, that was nuts. That was nuts.
So-
Probably one of the
so explain
stupidest
how
things
that
I've ever
happened.
done. We were walking home. I think we were just walking home. It was from Alvord.
No, it was from
Oh, it was
Novi.
Novi?
Yeah, and at this point, like, because me and you were always the last ones, because everybody would always get to their
Yeah.
house first. So it was just me and you at this
Yeah,
point.
because it was like we get to your house first on Cypress, then I'd have to turn right and then go left. There was a fire hydrant. Well, I didn't. It was a cup like this under
Yeah.
a fire hydrant, and I was like, "Oh, it's a fucking Carl's Jr. cup. I'm just gonna kick it." But it was like under the arm. It was like this, but the perspective was so off that I didn't see that the arm of the fire hydrant was like where I was gonna kick the cup. So I like full force like went soccer kicked the cup. But as I got closer, I noticed the cup was like here. So I kicked full force, didn't even hit the cup, and my ankle and like shin just hit the steel like arm of the fire hydrant. And like the most amount of pain I've ever felt immediately just like struck from like my foot like up to like my head, and I like fell, and I was like, oh my god, my leg. And Fidel was like, what happened? Like what did you do? And like I like lifted my leg up, and there was just it was literally like a fist or like a softball like raised on my
Instantly.
leg. Yeah.
Instantly.
And he had to like carry me home, and like he carried me for a little bit. And I was like jumping on one leg, and it was so fucking bad. It hurt so
Did
bad.
you like break it or
I don't know what happened to it.
you just hit the shit out of it?
So, yeah, I with just much force as I exerted, it fucked something up. And we went to Parkview, like the urgent care, and we were there for like 2.5 hours. My mom was like, "Fuck this! I'm tired of waiting. Like, I don't want to wait anymore. And we just went home. And yeah, she like sat me up. Yeah, dude, her kid. I'm fucking sitting there. I'm like crying. My leg is like up. It's swollen. Like it was literally like a grapefruit under my skin was just bulging out of my shin. And she was like, "Does this still hurt?" And I'm like, "Yeah, it hurts like a lot." And she was like, "Well, you're not crying anymore." And I'm like, "Yeah, we've been sitting here for fucking 2 hours." And I just went home and like they just like wrapped my leg in like towels and like ice packs, and I think I stayed home from school for like 2 days.
And then you came back and everybody thought you got shot.
Yeah, well, so I almost what happened? I said, I got a shot in my leg. I just told him that because I didn't go to the hospital. I mean, I went to the hospital, but they didn't see me.
Okay.
And he told everybody that I got shot in my leg. I was like, no, dude. Like, he called me on the phone. And I was like, yeah, I got a shot in my leg. Like, my leg was all swollen or whatever. So, like, I think I did that, like, on a Wednesday or a Thursday. So, like, I came back to school, like, on a Monday. And people were like, oh, my God. Like, what's wrong with your legs? I was on crutches and shit. And I'm like, I'm an idiot. I kicked a fucking fire hydrant. They're like, where's the hole? And I'm like, what hole? And they're like, we heard you got shot. And I was like, what? No.
But it was good. Like, there wasn't, like...
No, yeah, I mean, I
think it healed after a couple weeks. Like,
I think after a few weeks, I was good. I couldn't skate for a while, and just whatever was there just went away.
All right.
Yeah, but dude, it sucked so
I'm
bad.
sure, dude.
Like,
That sounds like a fucking inconveniencing nightmare.
it really was, and I think it was such a shock because, like, in my head, I'm like, oh, cool, I'm gonna fucking kick the shit out of this cup. Like, it's gonna go flying. I mean, it wasn't, it's gonna be the coolest thing ever. And
How old were you?
16, 15.
Yeah, probably like 15.
15,
yeah.
16, so
Sounds about right.
If we were at...
Because we're still going to Novi.
Novi, so yeah, I was 14 or 15 because I was a freshman.
Yeah.
And just to like kick with all my might and just feel the most intense pain I've ever felt in my life instead of just being like, oh yeah, I'm going to kick a cup and it's going to go flying. It's just... And then for it immediately to like look down and see how swollen my leg was, I was just like, what the fuck?
Jeez.
I remember you also had a habit of like when we would leave Del Tacos, you would leave with ketchups and like sauces.
Usually.
And twist them and like try to pop them next to all of us. And I remember you got yourself like really good. I think you were trying to get me or I forgot who, but it ended up the sauce like shooting straight up your leg.
Yeah.
That shit was funny.
All on me, yeah.
That shit was tight.
It sucked.
Yeah, we used to do a lot of dumb shit, like walking home. Even from Alvord.
Yeah.
Remember you and Alex with the fucking fluorescent light tubes? Like, there's, I have a picture of it.
His name isn't even Alex.
Oh, you Luis. Yeah.
But yes, me and Alex were fucking fighting with fluorescent light tubes.
So this guy I'm mentioning, Alex. It's this
Louis.
guy Louis. Yeah. Well, I'm saying Alex because we went to Alvord with him.
Yeah.
And
Alvord is a continuation school. For those who don't know, we were bad kids.
Bad kids. But we met him at Alvord, and we would always take the bus, and it was always me, Evan, Cisco, and Alex.
Yeah.
And the reason I'm remembering Alex is because that's what Cisco was always calling him. And he would respond. Yeah. He would respond to Cisco until one day Evan heard him. He's like, who the fuck are you talking to? And he's like, Alex. And he pointed to him. He's like, his name's Louis.
Jeez. He just never corrected the guy?
Nah, he was super mellow, always like pretty quiet. Like he just was like, oh, whatever. Like, Don't know where Alex came from, but he wasn't the type of person to like correct somebody or like, do shit like that. He was just like, Cisco wasn't being mean. So he's like, oh, I think he just realized it was like an honest mistake. And I think he was probably like, it'd be really embarrassing to like, at this point, like months into us all hanging out to correct him.
Jeez.
Yeah. And then, I don't know why, out of nowhere, for some reason, I was just like, who do you keep calling Alex?
Jesus.
Yeah.
Dude, we were so fucking loud on that bus.
Yeah. Well, we were loud just in general. Remember when we were at the Gallery at Tyler and we were all like listening to the Mark, Tom, and Travis show, like the live Blink-182 album, and instead of saying "What's my age again," he would always be like,
"Where's my Asian friend?"
My Asian friend.
Yeah.
So we were always yelling that because it was funny. And I remember like we were in front of the Forever 21. What's it? I don't even think it was Forever 21 yet, but wherever Forever 21 is now, it used to be like a Macy's or a department store.
Yeah.
We were hanging out there.
We're playing hacky sack. I remember.
Yeah, because Alex always had a hacky sack. And I think it was either me or you or one of us like yelled at, and like an Asian lady walked out and she like looked all weird, and we just all started laughing, like because we thought it was hilarious, and our like fucking teenage minds. But
I remember from that event, I remember your mom pulling up to take us home in a car with the back window broken.
yeah,
And the glass all over the back seat.
yep.
And the only person that was kind of like, what the fuck is going on was Lewis. Because me, you, and Cisco were kind of just like used to that kind of shit.
Yeah, I
you
mean,
know?
this was the neighborhood we grew up in.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I just remember Lewis being like, hey, like, is it cool? And I was like, yeah, just get him. Let's
Yeah,
go.
that's fine.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, just don't ask questions you don't want answers to.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
And
But I remember like the car ride over to drop off Lewis because he sat in between Cisco and me in the back, and he had his arms up, dude.
well, I was in the back with you too.
No.
Oh, was it not? Because I could have sworn it was all four of us in the back because it was my mom and this woman named Rachel Zubia who were in the front.
Oh yeah, because
it was-
he had to climb out the back window when we got to his house.
Because it was a two-door coupe.
Oh,
Yeah,
So there was a reason for that window to be fucking knocked out.
Well, I mean, the reason why it was knocked out is because they stole it.
Oh.
And yeah,
Yeah,
they just happened to see us walking home.
Oh my god.
And I knew what the situation was because I was like, Mom, we don't have a Honda Civic.
Oh.
Like, and
Just keeps getting better.
yeah,
dude. Just-
Alex didn't know that like we got down like that.
Yeah.
So, you know, I didn't say anything. I wasn't going to say anything.
Yeah.
And like, I mean, I'm sure you and Cisco had enough common
Yeah.
sense to understand. It was
Yeah.
like, it's either we get a ride home or we walk home in the fucking 100-degree summer. So I was like, I don't want to walk anymore. Like the Galleria Tyler was fucking far from my house or
Yeah.
from your house. So yeah, we all got a ride. And we were taking like crazy back streets to stay
Yeah.
away from the big streets.
But I remember getting to Lewis's house and like when he got up, like he had his arms out and the whole time, dude, it just smelled like armpit.
Yeah.
Like bad, like
Well,
bad.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Because he would always wear like a hoodie. Like he
Yeah.
was one of those kids that no matter if it's raining or like 115 degrees, he was always in the same hoodie. Yeah. But that same car ride, remember when my mom fucking was hauling ass down that hill and hit the fucking the pothole?
Yeah.
And we all hit our heads on the fucking on the roof. It was like gravity fucking put us all up. Yeah, we were. I think my mom, she was high, so she wasn't paying attention. But we were coming down a big hill. Where was that?
It was
kind
in
of like
Norwood?
yeah, kind of in that neighborhood. It wasn't on Norwood, but it was in those
It
neighborhoods.
was in the area, yeah.
But we hit. There was a street where it had two dips, and we basically jumped the entire street. My mom was just like, I think she was like high, just talking to us, like, yeah, like what's
Yeah.
up, mijo? Like, how was school? Blah blah blah. Like looking back, not paying attention, and we just fucking boom, and then like we all four of us just whoop, and our fucking heads hit the ceiling, and yeah, and we fucking sat back down. We're all laughing. The car's all fishtailing and shit. Yeah, and then when I told Alex that it was a stolen car, he like lost his mind. He was like, "What the fuck?"
Yeah.
Like, the next day at school, he was so scared.
Yeah, dude, that shit was funny. But I
Man,
remember
you guys were like some brave kids, dude. Like,
it's just because of the environment.
Yeah.
Like that we're like just used to it, you know?
I used to help my mom, like her and that woman Rachel Zubia, doxing her and shit.
What's her address?
I don't remember. And, dude, last time I saw her, me, Blake, and a couple friends were like skating this pool in the backyard at
Oh, yeah?
like this abandoned house. It was just like a bunch of like fucking
Yeah.
tweakers that like broke into a house, and there like we knew that neighborhood had a bunch of like houses that were. It was back in like 2007, 2008, so everybody's houses were getting foreclosed on. So we would just hear like, oh, these neighborhoods have pools, and since nobody was living there, the pools were always drained, so we'd go skate. And I remember like we just literally would walk in the house and then be like, hey, we're gonna go skate, like just to let people know who was like living in there. And I remember seeing her there, and like I remembered her, but I don't think she remembered me. But I was like, oh fuck, like damn, like that's Rachel, like she used to live with us, like she was really cool with my mom. I never said anything to her though, but we were just like we went in the back to go skate. She was like chilling on like a day bed, like in a living room, just with a bunch of random ass fools there, and just being like, let's just get through this house as fast as we can just to get into the backyard.
Yeah.
But her and my mom would steal cars, and we lived in this small neighborhood that was like a few streets away from like there used to be like a Kmart right over there off of Van Buren and all that.
Yeah.
And there was a bunch of really nice apartment complexes over there. So I was maybe 10, 11 or 12, like that age, and I would help them drive cars into that neighborhood, and we would just park cars there to let them cool off. And then a couple of days would go by and they would leave. Or like the Honda that they had picked us up in, they were in the process of taking like the dash off of another Honda to like switch the VIN and all that, so that they had that nicer Honda, but with like somebody already had a Honda that was
Yeah.
like a silver 2000, Ford
So would they
2003
just
Honda.
like hold on to the car just
The-
for the fuck of it, or
Well, the ones that they could like switch the VINs on and things like that. So if somebody's like Honda was all fucked up or whatever car was all fucked up, they would find something similar. Like, okay, here's it's a blue Acura instead of a fucking white one.
Oh, okay.
But my friend's white one, and the engine's all blown up, the transmission's fucked up. It's got like 300,000 miles on it. It's like a piece of shit. So
Yeah.
we'll go steal one that's similar to it, switch the plates, switch the dashboard of the VIN over, so that if you got pulled over, the numbers would match.
yeah.
So they would do that.
Wow.
But they would if they couldn't fit it in our back, because I used to have a big backyard in my old
Yeah.
house. So
Yeah,
they would
I remember that.
They would take the fence down, and then we would drive it through a tiny little like side of my house into the backyard. We'd either put them back there, or we would take them into the neighborhoods and like park them in these nice apartment complexes, and then just let them chill for a couple days, and they would go back and check on them if they were still there and it hadn't got towed, or like there wasn't any suspicion that somebody was looking for it. Then they would go and get it and take it wherever. Yeah. So I would do that with my mom my mom and that woman Rachel and other people. I was like 10, 11, and 12. I didn't know any better. They were like, "Oh, hey, do you want to drive?" I'm like, "Fuck yeah, I want to drive. This is fun. Like, I like driving a car. I can barely see over the steering wheel. Little ass me's like fucking driving." And I'm like, "Yeah, hell yeah!" And then like we'd all have 2 or 3 cars, park them, then we'd get into like my mom's car, the one that was like legal, and we'd all come back to the house or whatever.
Fuck.
Yeah.
That is so gnarly.
Yeah.
Good idea though.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah, I wish I could have thought of that when I had my Honda. Like, and it's crazy because like I had a 2001 Honda Civic at one point in my life. I think it was like I had it for a few years until I just sold it. So it was probably like 2011 and 12 when I had it. But I used to work at the Food for Less in San Bernardino, in downtown San Bernardino, right where like the welfare office is at.
Rough down there.
Yeah, it's fucking gnarly down there,
Yeah.
especially pushing carts and that.
Oh,
fucking, dude, like,
Scary.
I've run into some pretty gnarly nights there. But I got my car stolen from that parking lot.
But I don't know it's about getting a Honda stolen.
Yeah.
Sorry, didn't mean to interrupt.
But I remember I was really cool with the security guard because he was like a young guy. He was like my age too. And like I remember he came in the store and he was like, "Hey, someone stole your Honda." And I was like, "What?
Bitch, you didn't do anything to stop it? It's your job.
And I was like, "What do you mean?" He's like, "It's not there anymore." I was like, "Who took it?" "I don't know, man. It's gone." And I was like, "Oh shit! All right." Like, because around that time I was like in and out of places. I wasn't living at my mom's anymore, and sometimes I would spend some nights in my car. So like I had so much in that fucking Honda. I had like childhood shit in there, like a bunch of memorabilia shit. But I remember when it got stolen, I got pretty fucking sad because I was like, "Oh, that shit's gone now." And then the police department called me about like 2 or 3 days later, and they're like, "Hey, we found your car. It's in Redlands." And I told them like, "What? Give me the address." And I was living like in like North Rancho. I was renting like a room out from like my rich homie's rich parents' house, and I was like, "Fuck, how am I gonna get from like North Rancho all the way to that side of Redlands?" But luckily, like his parents were cool. He was like, "Oh, just get in the truck. Like, we'll give you a ride." So like we booked it to Redlands because they told us like we're gonna tow it in an hour if you're not here in an hour.
Oh fuck.
And I was like,
Yeah.
"Fuck." So what do I do?
Kicking
So like,
you while you're down, man.
yeah, dude. And I was like begging them over the phone. I was like, "Please don't." Like, I was getting paid like maybe $200 a week. I wasn't making a lot of money at that fucking grocery store, and like I was like, "Please don't tow it, man. Like I don't have any money for that. Like I and they were like, "You're here, you're not here in an hour." Click.
Yeah.
And I was like,
Jesus Christ.
and I was like,
tight.
"All right," like, and I was like, "Fuck, okay." And then so
Good,
luckily
you
they helped
deserve
me.
it.
But like when I got there, the reason I'm mentioning this story is because when I got there, whoever took my car, like swapped out a lot of the shit I wanted to work on. Like they swapped
made it
out
nicer?
Yeah, it was
What?
it was fucking weird because like they swapped out like these 2 sensors that I needed to replace in order to get the check engine light off, and they did it. And they swapped out like the backlights that I wanted to get off and put like some nice ones, and they did that. And I was like, and even the inside, they like took off a part of the dash that was like ripped and moldy.
Yeah.
Put a new one, and I was like, "Are you sure this is my car?" And like I checked the license plate, and everything was gone. The registration was gone. And the cop was there, and he was like, "Chunk, give me your ID." And he ran the plate, and he was like, "Yeah, it's registered to Luis Fausto. Like this is your car." And I was like, So weird. Why do they? Why
They
do
look
they?
through all your shit. They're like, man, this guy needs it more than we do.
Probably.
Dude, that's fucking talk about pit my ride
Yeah,
right there, dude. They're like, yo, we're
Fucking
gonna
met
fuck
my
with this
ride
guy.
up, dude.
Yeah.
That's my right.
Well, I don't know. Maybe they thought they can, like, you know, they're gonna start. The guy was like, oh yeah, we're gonna be able to keep it. We'll switch the plates. You know,
I
it's my
think
Honda,
so.
and started like, you know, fucking tricking it out or
Yeah.
whatever. And they realized like, oh, like you can't change the VIN that easy
Yeah.
type shit.
That-
so
that-
they
that-
just ditched it.
That's what I think. What happened?
but 3 days. That's crazy.
Yeah,
they must have like
dude.
immediately started working on it.
And it's so funny because like I had this other guy, he was my coworker, and then he found out about what happened like a few weeks later, and he was like, and he seems like such a nice dude. Like you wouldn't even guess that he was into like some gnarly shit.
Yeah.
But I remember he came up to me. He was like, it was his last day there, and he was like, "Hey, dude, I just want to let you know, I know who took your car."
Oh,
And I was like,
shit.
"Really?" He was like, "Yeah, it was one of my homies, but I mean, he was just trying to have fun and just like he was trying to keep it forever, but he ended up just changing his mind and like, yeah." He was like, "Obviously, I'm not gonna tell you because he's my homie, but I just want you to know that." But when I found out your car was stolen, I knew that it was gonna be okay. Like I knew that you weren't gonna have a hard time. So
Oh, shit.
that's why I didn't. He was like, "That's why I didn't give you a heads up," because I was like, "You'll be fine in a week or two.
Yeah.
He's just gonna take it and do some shit to it." But I guess he was trying to keep it. Like I took it. That's why it was so
Yeah.
fucking. But I think what fucking Evan said is like you probably couldn't switch the VIN, so he was like, "All right, I'm just gonna leave it."
Yeah.
But that's fucking gnarly. Like that's why I brought up that story because I was like, "Oh man, I didn't know you could do that," and now I know. Like that's probably whoever took my car. That was part of their big idea.
I mean, I imagine it's easier on some cars than it is because I mean nowadays most cars like the VIN is like it's like in the windshield pretty much.
Yeah.
But before you used to have to just pull the dashboard off and take that VIN plate or put a new VIN plate in or whatever. It's you know especially with older cars, I'm sure it's easier.
Yeah.
But
Yeah, that shit sucked though, because I had like some of my first records I ever bought were in that car. I had like some pretty nice 7 inches. I had like this signed thing that I brought from Vegas, and I was like a big Kurt Cobain fan when I was a kid. It was like in there, and I was and that was
that
so
sucks,
sad.
dude.
That was so
Sorry.
sad finding out that that car got emptied out with all that shit in there. Yeah.
Remember when my car got broken into and only your stuff got stolen?
on my birthday, we went to Pomona to watch Fucked Up and Agnostic Front play at a pizza place.
Oh, it was the trash talk. Fucked up and trash talk.
Fucked Up and Trash Talk.
Yeah, fucked up and trash talk.
Yeah.
That's when Damien fucking got the
ate
pepper
the salt
shaker.
pea- Yeah.
Yeah.
Um,
But it was me, you, and Franny. And I remember
Francisco Torrado. Yep.
Yeah. I remember going back to the car and seeing my driver door wide open. And we're like,
No, was it the passenger door or was
Was
it
it
the
the
driver
passenger?
door? I think it was the passenger door because I think Francisco thought he's like, "Oh, did I leave your car open?" Because it was a 2-door, so he had to get out the back.
Yeah.
And he was just like, who left the car door open?" Because yeah, the door was open. One of the doors was open, regardless, but the light was on. And I think him and I were both just like one of us left it open, like not, oh, nothing happened. And then I think you already knew because you were just like, fuck.
Yeah, because at that point it had already gotten stolen twice
Yeah.
and like broken into a bunch of times.
Yeah.
This was that little green Honda?
Yeah.
Dang.
But I remember we walked up and like the inside of the car was just like trashed.
Yeah. They like took his like fucking little shoulder bag and like turned it basically inside out.
But nothing was taken except for your iPod.
My iPod Classic, yeah. I don't know why I didn't. Well, I was like, oh, I'm gonna fucking stage dive, so I'm gonna leave this in the car because I don't want to lose it.
Yeah.
That shit got fucking stolen.
But yeah, I was like, I remember Francisco was just like, yeah, all my stuff's still here. And I was looking, I was like, yeah, none of my shit's gone.
Yeah.
And you're like, my fucking iPod's
My
gone.
iPod, the only thing. It's like the glove box. It was just they made a mess and just stole my iPod.
Yeah. But then we were just like, fuck, you were like, fuck it, let's just go. Because right after that, we came back here to Riverside to see, it was Sabertooth Zombie.
Sabertooth Zombie was the Midnight Venom record release at Pharaoh's Den.
Yeah.
Oof.
Yeah,
That
it was,
sounds
dude, it was
gnarly.
fucking incredible.
It was tight. It
So
was
like
tight.
that made up for it because it was like actually it wasn't on my birthday. It was February 8th. It was the day before my birthday. But I
Yeah.
was like, it's my birthday show.
Yeah.
Like fuck those fools. Like they don't know me, but they're playing. They're playing Riverside, my town, on my fucking birthday. Like it's it's my birthday show, not a record release show. But yeah, it was like a matinee in Pomona for Fucked Up and Trash Talk, and then we all fucking split to
Pharaoh's Den.
Pharaoh's Den. And me and Blake stole a case of Silly String from the electric chair.
Really?
Yeah. And we were passing it out. Do you remember that? We were passing them out. So like when they started playing, we just covered everybody in Silly String.
Yeah.
But so I had 2 cans in my hand, And remember Austin Durant?
Yeah, I
Yeah.
never like really like knew him like that, but I know what you're talking about.
He's super rad. Well, he was dating this girl named Jocelyn. It was him and they were always together and they were always at shows. And I went to spray her with silly string. You know, I was like, oh, it's gonna be funny because it's silly string, but I was holding it upside down, so all like the compressed air and all the liquid was basically at the tip. So I shot her. It was literally like just like poison goo and like what is and it hit her right in the eye. She like yelled and screamed. She couldn't see, and she like stumbled out of the crowd. The band hadn't even started yet. They were like tuning and all that, and so the show's getting ready to start, and she's crying and her face is burning, and her and Austin are like hobbling off so she can wash her face off, and like people are like, what the fuck's going on? And then like Sabretooth started playing, and then that's when we were just like, whoo, and like everybody had silly string, and we was a case of it. So just cover the entire venue in the band in silly string, fucking before they even really started playing their first song.
Fun.
That shit was tight.
Yeah.
Purple Mercy played that show, and like nobody knew who they were, and
Yeah.
everybody was like trying to be like tough guy, cool guy, and they were like fucking were playing some gnarly ass riffs, and everybody was like, "Yo, that band is fucking sick." I remember buying that LP, you know, the Holy Mountain LP, and being
Yeah.
fuck. That was one of the few records I kept out of all the records I sold. Was fucking.
Do you still have it?
I believe so. Yeah, I still have it.
That's what's up.
Like I had the Hit 'Em Where It Hurts one you made. I have a couple other little like personal ones that I just didn't want to get rid of.
Yeah.
I mean, they weren't like worth any money or anything, but like just ones I kept. But I was like, dude, it's one of the few records I still listen to, like that, and like I have a Towns Van Zandt record that I still listen to. I'm just like, I'm not gonna get rid of those.
Do you still buy records? No. Yeah. So you and Eddie have like officially retired from that shit, huh?
I retired first. Eddie bought a bunch. Eddie bought my Heat. I drove a record down from San Diego just to sell to him. I met him at his work. He like came out on his lunch break.
Yeah,
You were like
I
wearing your
remember that.
apron and your bonnet and all that, and gloves on and shit. And he came out and was just like, oh, I don't got a lot of time. Like, he's here, give me the record, here's the money. And you're just like, oh, dude, thank you. And like ran right back in.
Yeah.
And I was just like, nice seeing you too, dude.
Yeah.
Like, I was trying to kick you, but I knew you were at work or
Yeah.
whatnot.
No.
And then what, you and Hecky came down for that Daughter show, and I think you guys bought some records.
I bought the Sabretooth Midnight Venom off you. Was it Midnight? Yeah.
The
No.
sessions.
yeah.
The sessions.
Sessions.
Yeah.
Because I was the
Midnight
only one
Sessions.
available on vinyl at the time.
Yeah, and I didn't know that Midnight Venom wasn't available. Like it wasn't made. So I thought that was Midnight Venom. I'm like, I like that record, but I'm like, no. And then Hector's like, it's Midnight Sessions. I'm like, no, it's not. And you were like, no, it is. And
Yeah.
I was like, oh. Fuck.
Yeah, I had like all the colors.
I think I borrowed like money from my ex that day or something. I'm like, can you buy me this? Like,
Yeah. yeah. I think you two were talking that over, and me and Hecky were fucking rolling dice. And
Yeah.
like basically all the money that he paid me, I ended up giving it back to him because I thought, he cleaned up that night. I was so pissed because I was like, fuck yeah, like I got money. We're gonna go to the show, and like I was like, I wasn't like hurting for money, but it was like. The main reason why I wanted to sell my records was just like I could like pay my truck off faster, like just have money to save. And I think he gave me like $150, $200 for some records, and I think when he left, I think I had like $80 left. So I pretty much just gave him my records for free and gave him his money back because fucking he had a hot hand on some dice, and
Damn.
I was pissed.
He's
I
a
was like, double or
hustler.
nothing, dude, double or nothing. Is it fucking okay? And I was like, fuck, double or nothing. And I think finally they were like, dude, stop. Like,
Well, to kind of like, not necessarily backpedal, but
Yeah,
kind
yeah.
of go back in time a little
Of
bit.
course.
I always credit you and Omar with my musical taste, but you specifically with going to shows.
yeah, I mean, I was fucking begging. Well, you'd always give me rides. So,
Yeah.
dude, just come in. Like,
Yeah, because
I would feel bad because like you gave me a ride. I'm like, dude, at least let me come in. Let me buy you a ticket. Let me buy you a shirt. Like, whatever. Like, come hang out.
yeah, and like I remember always like looking back now, I was like, damn, I've dropped you off at like some pretty gnarly shows.
Yeah.
dude.
What was the show that you came in?
The one that I finally like gave in.
Was Sabretooth, right? Sabretooth, Red-Handed.
Yeah, it was Sabretooth, Ceremony, Red Hand. I think Violence had
that
just
was your
dropped.
first like real show.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Dude, that's gnarly.
Yeah.
Well, because like
Cool.
we would always go to like youth crew shows. Me and Omar were super into youth crew. And I remember like we went and saw the First Step at the showcase. Because I don't think you weren't at what was the venue that Nate used to do in Harupa?
Oh,
SOS.
SOS.
Yeah, it was always
No,
SOS.
I didn't go to any shows there.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, what we saw the first step there. We saw a bunch of rap, but yeah, I mean, we'd always go to like random youth crew shows or like shit like that. I remember like Omar and I saw Marauder and Agents of Man in like
Holy
2005.
shit.
Yeah, sometime around then. 2000. Yeah, had it at least been 2005, 2006. No, earlier than that. 2004, 2005, somewhere around there. I remember you took us. You dropped us off at that show.
Yeah.
But I mean, I'd always been going to Showcase because my first show there, I think was in 2002, 2003. I went and saw A Global Threat, The Unseen, and The Casualties. I was like 11 or 12.
Oh, shit.
Yeah. And then like, it was that same weekend, the Addicts played like 3 nights in a row.
I remember you left Monkey shirt in my trunk for so long.
Yeah. I fought so many people for that shirt. Like fucking.
Because I remember like I would see it in the trunk, like, oh, fucking Evan hasn't taken this dirty ass shirt. I because I wasn't into it yet, you know. Because you would always hit me up and be like, hey, like there's a show, like, can you give us a ride? I'm like, yeah, that's fine. The reason I always agreed was because that's when I was dating that girl when I'll talk about the one that cheated on me. And she lived in Corona.
Oh, I see. I didn't know that.
Yeah, I
didn't know that. I was like, I mean, you were always really, really nice. So I figured, oh yeah, he doesn't mind.
Yeah,
but
so
I was like, dude, let me.
But
come on.
I used that as like I was like, oh hey, I'm in Corona.
Yeah.
So,
okay, that makes sense. That
yeah,
makes sense.
that's why I was always willing to pick you guys up after. Also,
Yeah.
So
I have a pretty. It's so funny, dude, but it's like really anticlimactic of like how I first met Evan.
Yeah. See, I was gonna ask you that because I don't really remember meeting you. I'm sure it was through Jose.
It was.
I think I met you through Jose as well, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So the first time I think I actually like I already knew about you from Josh. Me and Josh were cool back then, and back then we're not cool anymore.
Yeah.
No. But
dude, Josh, man, can you believe of all fucking people, the dude's got like fucking damn near he's got a master's degree.
yeah,
Fucking career man. Like I
dude.
didn't think he was gonna make it out of his 20s.
yeah.
Yeah.
yeah, he's a silly kid. So
Yeah,
it's,
fucking A, dude.
It's cool to see him
Oh
do
my
all
God.
this. But you were sitting. A bunch of us went over to Jose's house, and you were sitting on your bed on your laptop.
Yeah.
And Jose was like, "Oh, that's Evan." Blah blah blah. This and that. And there was a ton of people, so
Yeah.
there was like no room to sit. So I sat next to you, and like I glanced over at your laptop, and you're like shopping for jeans.
Something.
I just remember seeing jeans on there, and I'm like, "Oh, okay, whatever." He's dude's trying to buy some pants, you know. Hours go by. Like I think we jammed out. We went to grab food. Like hours, like 5-6 hours go by. Eventually, like I sit next to you again. You're on the same fucking page. And Evan was like on his laptop for like 4 hours. And I'm like, dude, I don't know why that's just so fucking funny to me, dude. Like
That was peak Fall Down Hard. So back and that's where Fall Down Hard comes from. Is like I had an old not WordPress, what is it? Blogspot, like an old Blogspot, and I would fucking post photos and like fucking write. I was like, dude, I'm gonna be the next Bukowski, man. I'm gonna write this fucking awesome shit, dude.
Fuck yeah, dude.
Oh, horrible. I remember just going back and like reading this stuff, and being like, oh my God. Oh, like why? Like I don't, anything before like 25, 26, I'm just like completely embarrassed by anything I may have done. Like I was a different person. That wasn't me. But
Not me anymore.
yeah, I was probably either just flipping between pages, going from like eBay, Craigslist, writing in my fucking blog.
yeah, because compared to everyone, like you're a lot different from everyone. For one thing, you were like straight edge.
Yeah.
And
Like I still am.
oh yeah,
straight.
I was
fucking
actually gonna
edge.
ask you. So, do you think like growing up in that environment,
Oh,
like,
most
molded
definitely.
you
Yeah,
into
yeah,
that?
Most definitely.
yeah,
Like some of my like earliest memories, like the ones that like I haven't lost due to like trauma, or like my grandma OD'd on heroin, fell asleep with a fucking cigarette in her mouth, and she had like an old blanket on, and she dropped her cigarette and it fucking lit her on fire. So I could smell like burning like plastic. It was like an old polyester like blanket, and I fucking like I went into her like weird little like bedroom that was like our carport.
Oh, so
She
you
was-
saw
Yeah, she
everything.
was like literally on fire. So I fucking was throwing water on her and like needles in her arm and all that.
So at that point, she was already.
Yeah, I mean she lived, luckily.
Oh, really?
Yeah. She lived, but I mean she's still alive. That lady's probably gonna fucking outlast us all. She crystallized her insides with just
Oh, man.
years of heavy drug use. But yeah, I mean, like there's like that is like, you know, a vivid memory in my head. I remember like just finding just random shit and like, oh, what's this bag? It's like taped to a support beam in our garage. And it's just like needles and fucking, you know, bags of dope and just shit like that. And being like, oh,
Cool.
shouldn't fuck with that. Like, you
Yeah.
know. But yeah, I mean, just growing up, like with my mom being a junkie, or my mom wasn't a junkie. My grandma was a junkie. My mom was addicted to like speed and meth. My fucking dad was like an alcoholic, and he also did like speed. My grandpa or great grandpa was like a crazy severe alcoholic. Like he had cirrhosis of the liver. Spent all day, every day at the fucking bar. Like would come pick us up from school, just wasted. Yeah, just seeing all of that. Just the random like uncles and aunts that would come over to like buy dope and just like, you know, get spun out of the house and be like, oh yeah, I don't want to be like fucking Steve or Debbie or, you know, people like that. So it was really like real early, like formative, and then like finding like punk and like hardcore at such a young age. I think like when I was, I don't know, like 12 or 13, it was like when I like learned about like vegetarianism, and I'm just like, yeah, I think, you know, I think this is cool. Like listening to, you know, like fucking crust bands and like going to like Food Not Bombs events and things like that. And, like
Food Not Bombs.
Yeah,
Dude.
being into like Crass and Conflict. I mean, more so Conflict because they were like really like, you know, I remember like their album labels just like support the ALF and things like that. Being like, yeah, like, you know, I don't want to eat meat or things like that. And just like, I had always kind of been like, not like straight edge or like anti like drugs and alcohol. I tried drinking before and it always tasted so nasty.
That was my experience. with
Like
it,
I
too.
remember tried drinking a beer and I was like, ugh, like I was like crying because it tasted so bad. And I was like, I gotta like drink it.
Have these people tried soda?
Yeah,
like,
like,
this is so
yeah.
much better.
And I remember like just being in the backyard, like just putting like tons of salt and like lemon and they tried to make it like not taste so fucking nasty. But I was like, I can't not drink it because everybody else is drinking. I got to be cool, right?
Yeah.
And like I remember like trying to smoke a cigar, and I didn't know that you're not supposed to inhale cigars. So I'm like, oh yeah, like you inhale a cigarette, and I like inhaled and like immediately started like throwing up and just being like, nope, don't like that. And you know, obviously like just kind of being like, okay, I don't like drinking because it tastes like shit. I don't smoke anything. I used to smoke weed, but I was like a fucking little ass kid.
Yeah.
You know, but I was just like, yeah, weed's cool. It smells good. And then like, me and Omar like got into like straight edge, like hardcore together. And I think the same day we were like, we're straight edge, dude. Fuck yeah. We were walking home and we saw like some friends and they were like smoking weed and they're like, hey Omar, do you want to hit this? And Omar was like, sure. And like, took like the same day we were straight edge. That's right. Omar Gonzalez broke edge the same day he started being straight edge.
Fucking
I
poser.
know. But yeah, he got really fucking high and really paranoid. Like we walked to my house and he was like so nervous and scared that my mom was gonna tell on him to his mom. I was just like, man. But yeah, which was funny because like shortly after that, I was coming home from Jose's house and I saw Mia and these other dudes that were hanging out and they were smoking weed in front of Mia's house, and I was like talking to them. I was like riding a little Razor scooter home. And this dude, I think his name was Seth. He was like, yo, Evan, you want to hit greens? And I was like, sure, why not? And like, I took a fat rip and I just couldn't breathe and was like coughing. And like, I had a crazy gnarly like coughing fit. And like, when I like finally caught my breath, I was like the highest that I'd ever been in my life. And I got really awkward and really scared. So I was like, I got to go home. And like, was trying to like ride my scooter home down her hill. And like, I just was like, everything was like 2 seconds off. And I hit a fucking crack going down the fucking big hill on my Razor scooter and ate shit. I fell so fucking hard. But the main reason why I needed to go home is because the OC was starting.
Hell yeah.
I had to make it home by 8 o'clock because the OC was on.
I think me and you were the only ones that liked that show.
Dude,
like
it was
of our group
incredible.
of friends.
It was incredible. I mean, it was a soap opera, so I get it. I understand why. But like, dude, season 1 and season 2,
Dude.
unbeatable. It's
Great
great.
TV.
Yeah.
I've never seen it.
You got it.
I just know the
I know
theme
you don't
song.
like watching shows, you know.
Yeah. Well, I mean, back then I don't even.
Yeah.
Like, I think maybe because you were a little older. Like I don't
Yeah.
know. But
I mean, I didn't do anything. So it's like if I wasn't
Yeah.
hanging out at Jose's house while you guys were jamming and everybody was partying and drinking, I would go back to my house and just
Yeah.
watch fucking the OC because nobody else wanted to watch it. And I was like, I'm going to watch a fucking
Yeah.
soap opera with a bunch of my friends. Like, fuck it. But anyways, long story short, yeah, like I don't even know where I went to with that tangent, but oh yeah, Omar broke edge the first day. It was like a week later. I smoked weed and then got wrecked. I was like, okay, no more of that. But other than that's what you're asking me about.
Yeah, because
my
you're one of
upbringing.
the few that actually stuck with it.
Yeah. So like once I was like, okay, like I'm not gonna fuck with drugs, and like I was like, dude, I was so like my moral high ground. I was like 14 or 15. I was like, I'm gonna throw my life away smoking weed. This is stupid.
I'm
And I was
still like that, dude.
Yeah. Same.
But yeah, I was just curious because like there was a time where like me, Brandon, Josh, everyone were like, oh, we're vegan, we're straight edge, and like none of us like stuck with it.
Yeah.
Like we were all off and on and all
Yeah.
that. And but eventually, like you're like the only one that I know that has stuck with it. So I thought that was cool, man.
Thank you.
That
Appreciate
is cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, I respect you for that.
Thank you.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah. You know.
There's actually a lot of stories of Evan taking care of me being a fucking sloppy drunk. So.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I will say this, man. Like, till this day, I really believe that straight edge kids are the craziest. And like when I found out you were straight edge, I'm like, this fucking guy, the guy that's like getting naked at shows and like jumping on people, like, well, I was like, that's
you.
cool.
You brought up the Green Monster a couple episodes ago. I was the first one to use it.
Oh yeah, because
the Arizona iced tea.
Yeah, with your Arizona iced tea. That's
Yeah,
right.
That's right.
And it was the end of my night. I fucking got the gnarliest migraine. All that sugar, all that caffeine.
Caught up to you.
Yeah, dude, immediately. I think everybody was hanging out in the backyard, in the pool, and whatever. I went fucking laid in the room. I had this gnarliest migraine, like
Oh,
immediately. Yeah. I was like, if we're gonna get a beer bong, like I'm gonna be the first one to use it. I have to. And I got fucking tall can of Arizona iced tea. Fucking wrecked me, dude.
Do you want to tell the story of me passing out in a big gulp cup?
No, you do it.
Me?
Yeah, what's that? I've been talking a lot this whole time. I gotta relax. But how about you tell it, and maybe I'll if anything sounds different or like I have a different rendition of it, like I'll chime in.
From what I remember, I believe it was Aaron Solis' like graduation party.
Yeah.
And
Which was funny because like we were friends with his brother John, and then like my brother was friends with him.
Yeah.
So I don't know why we were all hanging out there. Like Jacob was there, Jacob Lucero, and because that's where we met fucking homegirl that was obsessed with you. Jacob's girlfriend at the time. So like they all showed up. Dude, she was like
Everybody hated her.
yeah, she was nice, but I mean I didn't mind her.
I just remember
was a
everybody
little-
was just like, "Fuck, why is she here?"
What's her name again?
I don't know if we should say her name.
Oh, okay, sorry. I mean, whatever. I don't
Fuck
remember.
it, her name was Sarah.
Sarah. Oh, yeah.
Sir.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Sorry, Jacob.
Damn.
But,
That's funny
yeah,
that
so-
we all know exactly.
Yeah. Well, I think that's where we met her because I think I think we were going over to the party because you knew John.
Yeah.
And then I think Bobby and Josh were going because they were friends with Aaron. And those days, I was like, fuck it, we're having a party at this person's house. So like he started inviting random. So I'm like, yeah, why the fuck is Javen and Jacob and Sarah and all these people that like we're homies with don't know anybody at this house? It's like fucking, I mean, well, me, Jacob, and Javen are like the only white people there. And I only know you and Aaron and I know John because we went to school together being like, what the fuck? Like,
Yeah.
And then there's like, little old blonde hair fucking Sarah just like basically glued to the back of Jacob. And I'm just
Yeah.
like, fucking, why are you guys here? Like, why are we here?
Yeah.
Well, anyways, sorry.
I just remember getting there and everybody was already pretty drunk. And that was at the time when I was drinking a lot too.
Yeah. But
So
I think you were like, I'm not going to drink. I think you were like, oh, I don't think I'm going to drink tonight.
No, I was still
you were?
I was still pretty like fuck yeah, I'm like, oh, I gotta catch up.
Yeah.
I gotta catch up.
Oh, okay.
And I remember fucking Cisco and Kenny showed up and Kenny had a fucking bottle of like was it Parrots Bay rum or something.
Yeah.
I forgot what it was
like-
called, but he's like, hey, you want some of this? And I just fucking grabbed it
Yeah.
and chugged it.
Yeah. Oh.
So that was my last memory of the night. The next memory I have is like waking up on Jose's futon in your guys' room.
Yeah.
And with the wet t-shirt on.
Yeah.
And then I was like, what the fuck happened? And then from what you told, like you and everybody else told
Yeah.
me, I got so fucked up that I started like throwing up and farting at the
Yeah,
same
you were like coughing, and like
dude.
burping. Yeah, and you were throwing up, and I think you just like were like like retching so hard. You were just like, ah!
And then,
Yeah.
Dude.
And we were all fucking losing it.
You were getting cleansed, dude.
but there's like a picture of me passed out with my face in like one of those big double gulp cups.
Yeah.
From 7-Eleven.
You were knocked out.
I was knocked out.
He was
yeah.
using it like to support his head.
Oh man.
Yeah.
Because like I was the only sober one, so like I had to drive his car. This is when you had your
The
Ford,
Taurus.
yeah, the Ford Taurus.
Yeah.
So I had to drive that, and you were in the front, and you were like laid like all the way back, and you were crushing Sarah's legs, and then I think Jacob was also in the back, and I think maybe
Julio.
maybe Julio. I think he was just kind of Julio really hated her. Really hated her. He was always so mad when she would come by. Dude, I remember that now. 'Cause he'd be like, man, like, what the fuck is she here? Like, get her away from me. Shit like that. And we'd always just like try to do stuff, and she'd want to come along, and Julio would just be like, nah, man, like ditch her. Like, anyways, so like I was just driving everybody home because I didn't know what to do, and she lived far as fuck. Like,
Well, no, you're dropping her and Jacob off at Jacob's house.
Yeah.
And he lived in like that gated community. And at the time I worked at Taco Bell and I had an empty Taco Bell cup. And I remember you said that I was asking for water.
Yeah.
So I was like, I'm thirsty. And then, so you just pulled over because you saw a broken sprinkler.
Yeah.
Like just spraying water.
Yeah.
And you filled it with water.
Yeah.
And handed it to me. And instead of drinking, I just poured it on my
poured
face.
it all over your face. Yeah.
It just like dripped all over me and I went back to sleep.
Yeah.
Damn,
So
I want to see that, Fidel.
Dude, it was gnarly. So I didn't know like what to do, and I was living with Jose at the time. So I'm just gonna take him. You know, I'm gonna take him home with me because I can't fucking take you to your house. And I wasn't gonna just like I didn't know if you had keys or not. But yeah, I had to like literally carry you in. You know, I don't know how I did it.
Me neither, dude.
But got you in the house, knocking shit over, making so much fucking noise. Remember when Jose's mom thought you were like 30?
Yeah.
She was like,
everybody always thought
what
that.
the fuck are you doing in my house? Like, who is this old guy? Like, you know, and we were like, no, like Christine, like he's our age. He goes to school. I think she even asked you to show your ID.
Yeah.
And then like I think after that she was like really cool with you. But yeah,
Yeah.
because you were so much bigger than all of
Yeah.
us. You were taller than everybody. But yeah, she was. I think she's like, Jose, Evan, like. Who's that man in the living room? We were like, man, like that's Fidel. He's fucking 16. She's like, what? No,
Damn, dude.
motherfucker, you're at least 30.
Damn. Would
But-
you like fully beard up at the time?
No, I didn't have
No.
facial hair. I just looked like old.
Yeah,
Like, I looked,
He was just so much taller than us. You know, he's just like he's a big man. So yeah, like I mean, I was a fucking twig back then. Like, you know, so we were all super small. I mean, Jose was always kind of tall, but like he was fucking 100 pounds soaking wet. He was a stick back then too.
Yeah.
You know, and like Bobby and my brother were like in barely in middle school, so we were all like really like young, quote unquote, and like Fidel towered over all of us, and like he'd always kind of had like his little like, you know, goatee, face hair stuff.
It looked like shit,
Your
though.
shadow. I mean, I'm
Yeah,
not
yeah.
worse than my fucking neck beard.
Oh, dude.
Yeah, but yeah. So like I dragged you into that house and fucking put you on the futon at like 2 or 3 a.m.
Something like
Yeah,
that.
and I went to bed, and like I think you woke up and you're like, why am I wet?
Yeah, I'm like, what the fuck? Why am I all
Like,
wet?
where am I? I think you were like still in your work clothes.
No, I was in regular clothes. Because I did used to just hang out in my work clothes.
Yeah.
So there's like a lot of pictures of me in like my fucking Premier uniform.
Premier uniform. Wouldn't even take his like fucking nice button down shirt off. He'd just be chilling in it, name tag and shit on it still. But yeah, I mean, for a while there was just everybody would just meet at Jose's house. So it was like, you know, cool. Fidel's off at 8. He'll be here at fucking 8:30, and you'd come in with like bunch of racks, dude.
Yeah.
Just like, cool, got a 30 pack,
Yeah.
and I'd just be sitting on my bed looking at shit on eBay.
I missed Party Fidel, dude.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I
you
didn't get to see that.
You did.
He had his. You still have your quadruple shot?
Yeah, I just bought a new one actually.
Damn.
So now I have two.
That was it right there, dude. Like Fidel was.
Yeah.
I mean, I think I've only ever seen sloppy like that, like, you know, a handful of times.
Yeah.
You didn't get that bad, but for some reason that night, like,
Yeah.
dude, it was scary.
That's what's up. That's what's up. So now that we got like the nostalgia stuff, like
Yeah.
I want to get into your work.
Okay.
So when did you start piercing? It was when we were at Alvord, right?
Yes, it was February 9th, 2006, my birthday.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. I was still in high school. I remember hanging out with Wes, the guy that was my mentor at the time. I was hanging out with him. I think the day before. I think it was on the 8th. And I was just, I don't know. I was like, I tried to get a job at the mall, and I couldn't get a job anywhere. And I was just like, the fuck am I doing with my life? Like, I had an interview at Tilly's and I fucked that up. Like,
Hell yeah.
I couldn't even get a job at Tilly's. And I was just like, what the fuck? And Tilly's had just, they were just coming to the gallery at Tyler. So they were like, we're hiring immediately. Like, basically anybody who applies is going to get a job. And I couldn't get a job at Tilly's. Yeah. And I'm like, fuck, dude, I can't even work a shitty retail job. Like, I was failing in school. It was just like, what the fuck am I doing? And I was like, I'm going to join the military. Like, that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to get the fuck out of here, I'm going to join the Marines, go, get some schooling out of it, whatever. I was telling, Wes that. And he was like, man, you don't want to do that. I'm like, what the fuck else am I going to do? I can't even get a job at the mall.
Yeah.
He's like, well, fucking, you hang out here all day, every day anyways. I'll teach you how to pierce. And I'm like, what? Really? And he's like, yeah. He's like, I'll come here tomorrow. And I was like, tomorrow's my birthday. He's like, yeah, I know. Like, if you're serious, you'll be here and you'll work tomorrow.
Yeah.
And I did. I spent my entire birthday scrubbing the shop by hand, just on my hands and knees with napkins and toothbrushes and just cleaning the entire shop. And it was just every day pretty much doing that from 2006 on. And I think by I think I had graduated. We graduated in 07, and I was piercing by then, but I was still piercing people in high school.
Yeah.
And then I think by mid 2007, late 2007, almost in 2008 is when I was allowed to pierce on my own.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it gave me the 2 shittiest days at the shop, but it was basically enough money if I worked that I could afford rent. That's how I ended up moving out. But yeah, so 2006 on my birthday, that's when I started my apprenticeship, which was just working 7 days straight, not getting paid, just cleaning everything, running to the fucking store to get them stuff, just getting treated like shit. Yeah.
Did it pay off?
I mean, I'd say so. I mean, it's literally been my first and only job. I haven't done anything else. I mean, when I was a kid, I would I would sell candy in front of stores.
Yeah.
Those fucking sketchy assholes would pick us up in vans. They'd be like, after school job, you want to earn money during the summer? Call this number. So I'd call and be like, hey, I'm interested in the job. And the guy's like, okay, you're hired. It was some fucking gnarly cholo dude would just pull up in a big Ford, a Econoline van with a bunch of just random kids in it. They would buy Boy Scout type candy chocolate bars, C's candy bars, and he would take us to the Woodcrest areas and the Wood Streets and the Gallery at Tyler and Corona, all over the place. And he'd just literally drop us off. We'd sell candy, and he'd come by and he'd pick us up and be like, okay, cool, you sold 3 boxes of candy. That was $600. And he'd be like, here's $80.
Oh.
I'm like, what the fuck? So that was a job I had. I think I did that enough just to buy a skateboard, and then I was like, nah, I'm good. But actual job is, been piercing.
Wow,
Nothing
that's
else.
Cool. I like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, because you used to, that started after I had left Alvord already, right?
I think so.
Yeah,
you
because
graduated right, or no, I don't think you graduated. You left, right?
Yeah, I left because I remember when I was still driving to school, I would always hear, I'd walk out of 6th period just from across campus, shotgun, fucking Evan.
Yeah,
because him and Cisco always fighting,
and you hear he's fucking running through the fucking through the quad
because he would always call, or I think you would text us sometimes and just be shotgun. Yeah. So I had to make it a rule no, you can only call it once you see the car.
Yeah.
So he would immediately just run and see the car and be like shotgun, and we'd be all far away.
Yeah.
And it got to the point where Cisco was like, "Dude, just fucking take it. I don't care anymore."
Yeah. And I would, Brandon started coming around too, and she'd be like, "Fucking, who cares?" I think she'd be like, "I'm gonna fucking sit in the front,"
Yeah.
shit like that. But I'm like, "Fuck that! I called shotgun."
But yeah, and then do you remember the Saturn that I had? The one when I was dropping you off one time, I had to make a U-turn. And when I went to reverse, it wouldn't reverse. So you got out and started pushing. And I didn't even help. I just stayed in the car and I was like,
the little guy.
Big ass Fidel, and they're staring at me, struggling to fucking push the car back. Yeah, but he did a U-turn and he went to reverse, and we hear a clunk, and the car just kind of kept rolling forward, just because it was in neutral and it wasn't going anywhere. It was just what the fuck? I do remember that Saturn.
Yeah, and then like after that, that's when I had that Safari, the GMC Safari that I used to take everybody to showcase in.
I think it was so sick.
But then that's when we started taking the bus. But yeah, like that's why I think you started doing the piercing like once I was already gone.
Yeah, because I would take the bus to school, and then I was able to leave early as long as I got all my work done. Because that was the cool thing about going to Alvord. Like I stayed, like I was really behind on credits. That's why they said, "Oh, go to the continuation school because you'll be able to catch up." And I caught up like way in advance. So, well, if you want, we'll transfer you back to Norte Vista, and you'll graduate, on time with all your friends. And I was like, "Fuck that!" Like at Novi, I don't get into school till like 2:30 or 3. At Alvord, I show up at 7. I can leave as soon as I'm done with my schoolwork. So some days I'd be done at 11 or 12. I got the rest of the fucking day.
Yeah.
So I talked to the principal. I was like, well, I have a job now. Like, if I get everything done, can I leave at like 11? Because I needed to get to the shop at 12. We would open at 12. And he was like, yeah, as long as like your grades don't slip, you need to get like your mom to sign some stuff. And I wasn't living with my mom at the time. So she's like, okay, cool. And like fucking just forged whatever I could. And like I think like he called her one day. And was just like, oh yeah, this is Evan Burke. Like, your son Evan's got a job. Can he go to like, can he leave school early? And she's like, yeah, whatever. So yeah, I like would do that. My fucking Razor scooter. I would ride my Razor scooter from Alvord all the way down Tyler to get to Electric Chair, which was on Tyler and Hull. Because I couldn't afford the bus.
Yeah.
So I had to like ride my scooter, and like I had a bike, but I think it got stolen. And then I got another one, and I got hit by a car. So the only thing I had that like still worked was like this shitty old janky like fucking Razor scooter that I would just take everywhere. I was like, it was fast,
So how do you feel about yourself right now? Like from looking back to that point where you got your first days at Electric Chair, you said?
Yeah.
From scrubbing the floors for free and learning how to like pierce. Like, would you say like you're pretty proud of where you are right now from where you started?
I'm the tightest motherfucker in the world.
I think so.
Yeah. No, it's like, yeah, I do have a sense of accomplishment and a sense of like, being proud, of course, but just like years of just being treated like shit and like, being yelled at and like talked down to and belittled. Like I have a very, very like low self-worth, which I've been struggling with like pretty much my entire life. I'm like, been working really hard on like not being like so negative or like so hard on myself. And my partner Spencer, she's been really instrumental in me like stopping my like negative self-talk. Like I would constantly be like, oh, I'm fucking stupid, or like I'm such an idiot. Why the fuck did I do that? And she's like, stop saying that stuff. So there's been years of her like reaffirming that to where I don't like call myself dumb or stupid or worse things like that. So I'm still like I still struggle with that, like being oh yeah, like I'm proud of myself, like But yeah, I do feel that because where I grew up, my family, like I'm one of the few that like made it out. Like I'm more proud of my brother. I mean, same thing. Like he grew up in the most worst situation, and then he's fucking killing it. Like I didn't think he was, like I said earlier, I didn't think he was gonna make it out of his 20s. Like it's just he was live hard, fucking party hard, die young type. Where I'm like, fuck, dude. Like another weekend where you guys fucking flipped a car, or like you went out to some fucking party and oh great, your hand's broken because you were fighting fools and things like that. Where I'm like, damn, like. It's only a matter of time. Like, I can't do anything to save him. It's only a matter of time before, like, Arlanza sold us some hole like everybody else.
Yeah.
But, dude, it's amazing to see where he is. My sister, I mean, she lucked out, She lives, she's got a great family. So it's just like, yeah, like all of us kind of just like we like broke the generational curses that we were all like born into.
Yeah, I see that very much with like almost every person that I've made friends here in Riverside, including you and other homegirl that lives in San Diego. And it's like, damn, it's so beautiful, like seeing this shit, because it's like this shit could have gone south so fast.
Yeah.
It's so gnarly,
Yeah.
Well, I mean, like I was saying earlier, like I am alive today 110% because of Jose and his mom, Christine. Like if she didn't see like how distraught I was and decided like, oh, like I'm going to take him to Disneyland with us. Like, because they never had a lot of money. It was always hard, like, just to fucking do the things that they did to keep that family together, and like the little things they would do, like going to Disneyland was a big expense. There was a big family. There was 4 kids and the 2 adults, and you know, like they never really charged me rent or anything. So like, I was living with them for free, and you know, basically I was another kid that they were just supporting. So yeah, for her to be like, well, you know, what's an extra $200? You know, that little fucking gesture is the reason why I'm sitting here talking to you guys today, because I full-heartedly believe like I would have made it home walking from his house to my house. Like I would have done something, you know, and I wouldn't be here today if it wasn't for them, if it wasn't for him and his mom. And I've told them both that like numerous times, like, and it's just crazy to think, but yeah, things could have went south real quick.
Yeah. And that just makes me want to, that makes me super appreciate a lot of the people, including like the 3 of you guys, you know, because like, I mean, we've all gone through a lot of shit back when like we were growing up, and man, what a bunch of like gifted, talented people that I've made friends, like Evan, Eddie, Fidel. Like, I'm proud of all 3 of you guys. Yeah, I'm proud of all 3 of you guys, man, and I'm glad I'm your guys' homie. So
Same.
So I just wanted to say that. Just I hope you keep growing. You know,
I'm trying
with your talent and your own personal struggles, and I hope everything goes well.
Thank you. I really appreciate that. I obviously wish the same for everybody in here and everybody who's come into our lives, even though we may not talk. There's a lot of fools that I don't see or talk to.
Yeah, and that's another thing that, like, man, that makes me glad I'm, like, in this group of friends that I am in Riverside, because, like, I can, like, maybe not talk to you guys for, like, a year or, like, some months, and it'll be like we just hung out, like, last week or something. Yeah. Like, that's so great, and I love that, because, like, I recently had this experience where, like, I had gone to contact with, like, an old friend, and it was just, like, it felt like such a negative experience, because it was, like, I was getting treated so... Ugh. Like, it was just bad, and I was you know what? Like, that makes me really appreciate the people that I'm friends with here. And like I said, it includes the people here, the 3 of you guys, you know, so.
I mean, it's hard. You got to think, like, so many moving parts within our lives. It's easy for us to, like, just for distance to grow between us. And sometimes it's very hard to, like, pick up, you know, where we left off. Yeah. But there's very few people that I can do that with. And, you know, though I think those people... It's important to like remember that and realize like, oh, hey, like I hadn't talked to you since that Soul Search show, and when I walked up to the porch and saw you, it was just like, dude, it's like I saw you yesterday. You know, it's the same thing with every time I see Jose. It's like, you know, he's one of the few friends where like just randomly I'll get a phone call from him and be like, oh, what's up? You just want to shoot shit real quick, and like 3 hours later I put the phone down. I'm like, oh fuck, like sorry, like, you know, it's like, oh, I would have kept talking, but you know, I gotta. He's a grown-ass man with kids now. He's, I got to, like, get my daughter or take care of my son or things like that. Yeah. It's, like, a handful of people. I mean, for as big as our, like, friend group was, there's maybe a handful of people on there that, like, those feelings are kind of the same or mutual with. You know, there's always been people, like, in the periphery, whether it's, like, Jose's circle of, like, you guys were, like, Jose's circle of friends that, like, all kind of brought us in. And there's other just people that kind of came and go, where I'm just like, oh yeah, I'm cool with that guy or that girl, like, see him in passing, but like, I don't care to like say what's up if I see them anywhere. Not like it's a bad thing, but it's just like, you know, I don't feel that draw to them. Same thing with like, you know, you would bring friends in, you know, Josh, whatever, just Omar would always have random people coming in, and just like a Venn diagram, few people would interact with one another and kind of stick tight.
Another thing too, I wanted to ask to kind of get away from the lighthearted stuff. I like your film camera, dude. Your Leica. Yeah. It's super awesome. And I wanted to ask, how experienced are you with like film photography?
I mean, I've been messing around with photography since I think 2007, 2008. Like the very first film camera I ever bought was that Minolta I was talking about earlier. Mm-hmm. I bought it on eBay for like $90. Okay. And just kind of learned to shoot just photos in general on film, which I didn't know what I was doing. I didn't know how metering worked. I didn't know how, like, you know, exposure worked. I was just like, I mean, everything back then was so cheap, so I can buy a fucking roll of film for like $3 or $4 at like Target or whatever, or I'm just going still film from fucking Walmart, and just kind of learned that way. And then a friend of mine was also, who I used to work with, was getting into photography, but he got a digital camera, and it was like, oh, this is so much easier because like I can look at the back of the screen and kind of like know, okay, that wasn't in focus or that was in focus. There was too much light, too little light, things like that. So I like bought a digital camera shortly after that. So on and off, I've been messing around with film photos or film photography since I think 2007, 2008.
Are you still like active in it at all? Like, do you?
I mean, I carry my camera around me like pretty much every day, whether I'm taking photos or not. And like I still do shoot a lot of photos, but not as active with like posting as I used to be. Like, cause for a while there, I was like convinced that's like what I wanted to do. I wanted to be like a photojournalist. I went to like school for photography and like journalism and things like that. That's why I had that old like blog where I would like just post photos and like just write random bullshit because I was like super into the idea of like just like old school like war photos. Like photographers like in the field like shooting photos as like bombs and bullets and shit are going off, and they're like literally like shoot a roll of film and like would put it in a canister and develop it there like fucking on like. That's just sounded so amazing to be able to like do that, or like just be able to travel the world with like a camera and like take pictures. And, So like I wanted to do that, but just it's hard, and I couldn't dedicate my time into school because I needed to like work to like pay for my life and things like that, and then the fun of taking photos kind of like I lost that because I was like, well, I need to like go take photos for this school assignment or for like this personal assignment that I want to do, like where I was like, it started to feel like it was like a chore to like carry my camera with me. I was like, this isn't fun anymore. So then I was like, well, I like shooting photos still. I want to be able to like enjoy shooting photos, or like if I was always shooting shows because it was like, I'm at a show anyways. Like I want to take photos.
Yeah. So you don't post at all? Like
no, I'm very, very rarely. I mean, like I'm constantly shooting and like developing film, and like I used to have a website that I was always uploading to, and that was like the easiest thing. Well, like when Tumblr like died, because that's like where I was constantly uploading. Is because I had my blog spot, and then like Tumblr started getting really big, and it was easy to like post photos and have it shared really easily, and like I got a pretty decent following on that. I had like. I mean, I think I've maybe only been paid like once or twice in my entire life of taking photos. Where people are like, oh, I really like your work. Like, can you come shoot this for me? And things like that.
Okay.
But I mean, ever since like Tumblr went away, and like I was like, I can't afford to spend $300 a year on a website that like 8 people are coming to look at the photos. And like I had like one person buy a print, and it was like a friend of mine. She like bought a print for her husband, and I'm like, oh, awesome, like. I almost paid myself back for buying all the prints and getting stuff made. Yeah, so I was just, I like just lost my drive to like post and show like, people what I'm like shooting pictures of, because it felt really derivative, because all the people that I would hang out with or like would follow would all post the same shit. And I'm like, well, that person's posting like cooler photos than me. So like people are just going to go look at this person's, Instagram or whatever.
Yeah.
And then, it's just like, yeah. I like taking pictures, but I don't really like, show them or share them too much now. Every now and again, I'll like throw something up there, but it's usually like I just take pictures of like my dog and like my girlfriend and things like that. Like it's all like personal stuff now, where like I'll mostly just hold on to it because I like holding on to tangible things. This is why I collected records for years and VHS tapes. I just love having physical objects. So they go, let me go like pull a roll of film out and like look at it and like scan it and be like, okay, cool. Like I'll, do something with this, but.
Do you have any like photo books, like of prints, like pictures you developed and just to keep for yourself?
No. I mean, I have everything just like kind of categorized on like my laptop. I made one zine, and that was about it. I ended up giving most of them away, anyways. I'm horrible when it's just funny that I'm opening a business, or I'm just horrible at charging people. I'm like, oh, I'll just give it away for free, and I'm like. I'm in debt because I like spent like $500 getting like a bunch of like nice like high quality like zines made, and I just gave them all away, like whatever. Somebody shows interest enough to like want my photo book, I might as well like just give it to them instead of having them pay for it.
You mentioned that you're opening a business, so I kind of want to steer the conversation to get to that point.
Okay.
So,
just something you wanted to touch on as far as like photography. You're right. I don't want to like detour away from that, if there was still like something you were kind of getting with at.
Well, you know what? We can talk about it after the
Okay.
podcast because I would like to
Oh, of course.
speak with you about it.
Yeah, heck yeah.
But yeah, go ahead.
He's in a crash too. So
Yeah. That's,
Yeah.
All right.
so what you started piercing. And I remember you getting really into like different types of body modification as far as like implants and stuff. Like,
Yeah. Scarification, implants, all that stuff.
What was enticing about that for you?
So, I mean, it all kind of started back with my like early experience, not experience, my early exposure with like body modification, and where it was just like, I remember I was walking to Orlanza, and I saw these me and do you remember that kid Camilo?
Yes.
Yes. So he and I were like childhood best friends, and he used to live kind of by Orlanza.
Yeah.
So we would walk to his house, or he would meet me at Stop and Shop.
Yeah.
Or his mom used to work at that little Mexican market right behind Stop and Shop. So we'd kind of meet there, and we'd all walk to Orlanza together. Well, he and I were walking to Orlanza, and there was these two like crazy, like crusty ass like gutter punks. They were just like leather jackets and like big big mohawks and stuff like that. Where I'm like, whoa, like fuck, these people look weird, and they like had safety pins in their ears, and one of them had their like nose pierced, and being like, wow, because I'd never seen anybody that looked like that before. Because my only experience with like body modification was like the tattoos I'd see on like my uncles and aunts, kissy lips on the neck, fucking, Arlanza 813, just like gang affiliated shit. Or I'm like, okay, like every adult male that I've ever encountered in my life all had like a woman's name and like lips on their neck. So my first tattoo was going to be that, because I was like, fuck yeah, like everybody I know has that. Or like, just seeing just like random like, prison tattoos on everybody that was at my house. So I was like, that's all black and gray, and like maybe like one person would have an ear pierced. I remember this guy named Tank had like his lip pierced. And so that was like it. I was like, I hadn't really seen anything other than, of like movies and like TV and shit like that, but like seeing somebody in real life like that, I'm like, whoa, like you can do that to yourself. This is insane. Like you can literally do these things to make yourself look a certain way. And I had no idea that you can do that, because my only exposure was everybody who looked the same. And being like, man, like, okay, that's cool. Like, that's awesome. I like that.
Yeah, because I remember one time, because I used to hang out at Electric Chair when you guys moved to Arlington, right there by Target. I would go there sometimes, like we would get lunch or just chill,
Yeah.
And I remember one time being there, and you were piercing somebody, so I was just chilling on the couch looking through the magazine, and you're like giving them the whole like, oh, here's the care instructions, like, and then when they left, very first thing you said to me, came to me like, dude, you want to see my dick? And I was like,
what's up, baby? You want to see my doodle?
I was like, nah, I'm good. You're all like, no, for real, like check it out. And you pulled your dick out, and you had
in the
like,
fucking lobby of the shop. Yeah.
And I was just like, what the fuck? Because it was like lumpy on top.
Yeah.
So what was that?
They're just silicone implants. Yeah, it's a procedure called genital beading, and that's what that was.
Do you still have them?
Yeah.
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 Some say,
'Cause I've met a girl once who told me that her boyfriend had like a big one on him.
Yeah.
And she was like, I don't know why he got it. It doesn't even do shit for me.
Yeah.
And I was wondering, I was like, well, maybe it's just your pussy, homie.
It could be. I mean, like,
Jesus.
yeah. So I haven't had very many partners. I'm like a serial monogamous. That's usually like a long relationship and like a long time of not. And then my long relationship, but like the woman I dated hated him because it just didn't feel comfortable for her. And like before I had my beating, I had genital piercings, and the Madi, the girl I dated in high school, she hated it. And she never really liked any of the stuff that I did to myself anyway. She never really understood. She's like, why are you like cutting up your skin and putting shit in there? 'Cause she was like super religious. She's like, that's not what God would want, or things like that. Oh,
that's right.
She was
that's
really
right.
religious.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah. So we were always constantly fighting about that. And I was like, well, these are the things that I want to do to express myself. Like I have autonomy over my body. Like if I want to fucking stretch marriage for 2 inches, I can. I want to have a fucking pink mohawk, I can. Like, cool, I want to fucking tattoo something on me. I can. Like, I can do that to myself. That's just kind of the main reason why I got like really into like body modification is like, it was like seeing like kind of like how far into the extremes I can like, push myself. And just being like, I am making these decisions to alter myself, and I have complete control over that, because I guess growing up, not having control over anything I can do, growing up in like very like, manipulative and abusive, households, like I couldn't do anything, or so it's just like, now that I can, like, why not?
Yeah. Because you also have one on your hand, right?
Well, I used to. I took it out.
I used to
have it on this hand. So yeah, I had a big like silicone implant on my left hand of like a piece of jewelry, like it's called like a circular barbell. It was like a horseshoe style ring.
Oh, cool.
It was really common, or it still is, in a lot. I would see a lot of piercers who would have one in one hand and one in the other, and that was my plan. I was gonna do that. But I decided like I wanted to start getting tattooed. Because like back then I was like, I don't think I want a lot of tattoos, and I just really wasn't into them. So I got that in my hand, and then I was like, well, I can't tattoo my hand now because there's this big, huge like silicone implant in it. So what do I want more, this implant or to get my hands tattooed? And it kept kind of getting irritated. I'd wake up and my whole hand would be swollen. So I was like, fuck. It just started becoming more and more of a problem where I'm like, well, I want to tattoo my hands anyway. So I just ended up taking it out.
Because I remember that when you got that, wasn't that what led to like the whole like Dr. Phil shit?
Yeah. Well, that was part of what it was. So,
how did that come about?
A friend of mine, well, he was a really good friend of like my mentor, Wes. He used to own a piercing studio up in LA, and one of the producers from the show just called him and was like, hey, like, you are a piercing studio. We're looking for, people that fit a certain parameter. Are you that person, or do you know somebody like that? And they're like, well, yeah, I know this guy named Evan, so I'll give you his number. And then out of the blue, some random person called me, and for some reason I answered the phone. I was like, hello? It was like a 310 number. I'm like, I don't know anybody in Los Angeles. I mean, that dude that gave them my number lived in like Pasadena, and so I was like, oh, maybe like one of them at the piercing shop is like calling for something. And then, it was this woman. I can't remember her name, but she was like, hey, I'm a producer on the Dr. Phil show. We want to do like a segment on like body modification, and specifically on like young people and the things they do to their bodies. I understand that like I think it was like 20 or 21 at the time. We got your info from Brett, from this guy. Whatever.
Ooh.
Yeah. Ooh.
I'll bleep it.
Nah, it's fine. I don't care. It's not that important. Anyways, we got this information. Was to be something you're interested in. I was like talking to her, and the original premise was they were gonna like highlight, like body modification and things like that, and like specifically why like younger people kind of do these things to themselves. So I was like, okay, yeah, that sounds just interesting. Like, it's something I would be into. Yeah, of course. And they're like, well, we can't pay you, but like you can come up to, the studio, and, you'll be on the show, you'll be on like on the panel or whatever, yada, yada, yada. I'm like, okay, cool. And like, I did schedule that, and then went to LA for that.
And how'd it go? Do you want to talk about
It was
it?
fucking terrible. Yeah, it was horrible.
Wait, so you were on an episode of Dr. Phil?
Yeah.
I never knew that.
I don't tell a lot of people that.
That's crazy.
That's why I'm asking, like, because I know the story, but like, if you don't want to talk about it,
it's fine. I mean, again, it's one of those things where I was like, everything before the age of like 25, 26, it's just like I'm mortified by, just fucking embarrassed. But so I went there under the guise of what that woman told me that the show was going to be about. I'm like, okay, cool. And she's like, we have these other people that I knew of from the internet. I'm like, oh yeah, like I know who this person is, or I know who that person is, or like, they seem similar to the things that I want to be. So I felt like, okay, yeah, comfortable being, talking about people that I feel are going to be like-minded. Like, cool, yeah, awesome. And I get there, and they're like, okay, like we're going to put you in this green room, and then they're going to come in, you're going to get ready, and like, they gave me a bunch of clothes to put on, like nice, because I'm going to be on TV, so like, I was in like nice clothes. I looked like a fucking weird anthropology teacher, like in community college. They straightened my hair, and like I was in like a button-up shirt and pants and like fucking shoes and all that. I was there like 4 or 5 in the morning.
Oh,
fuck.
fuck.
Yeah, I was early as shit. I was there all fucking day. I had to go to work that day too. So like we needed to be back, I think by like noon or 1. I think they agreed to like let me come to work like an hour or two late. But yeah, I remember having to leave Riverside at like 4 in the morning, 3 or 4 in the morning, get to LA at like, 4, 5, or 6, and then like hair, makeup, and then like, okay, we're gonna call you in shortly, and just hang out here. Like, here's Red Bull, water, whatever. And then another woman comes in, like 10 minutes later, and she's like, "Oh, go ahead and get undressed, put your clothes back on." And I'm like, "What?" She's like, "Oh yeah, the format changed, so we don't need you in the dress clothes. Just go ahead and put your regular clothes back on." And I was wearing a Soul Search shirt. It was
I remember
the Crackdown rip for the fucking skateboard. And she's like, "What's up with that? Like, what does Soul Search mean?" I'm like, "Oh, like you're searching your soul through skateboarding, like just making some shit up," because I couldn't tell them that it was like a band T-shirt or because you can't promote stuff like that on TV. Yeah. So I was like, "Yeah, it's just like a motto. It's a way of life." So they were able to let me wear it. They're like, "Well, just kind of like pull your sweater up," because it was like a skinhead on a skateboard. It looked kind of weird. I was like, "Okay," and then like they put a little like mic on you right here, so I just kept like getting it like lower and lower and lower as like I was getting closer to being on TV. But so they said the format changed, and it was still going to be about like the things that people like young people do in their lives. I'm like, okay, cool. This maybe it'll be all right. It's this total fucking weirdo came in and was sharing a green room with me. He just looked like the biggest fucking asshole. And I'm like, what the fuck? It was like 6:37 in the morning. He was wearing like big, huge glasses, and he had these like high top like shoes that had like angel wings on them. And he was just wearing really fucking funny, like funky clothes. And he was just like listening to music and like talking to himself and like dancing. And I'm like, what the fuck is going on? And I'm like, I got nothing in common with this asshole. Like, why are we going to be on a show together, right?
He was hey, I'm Dr. Phil, by the way.
So, like, we all go out and, like, they're like, okay, you're going to sit here, and then we're going to put this other guy here, and there was another, like, family that was on, like, the stage, and there was another person, like, next to them. And they're like, oh, today's show is called like Oh, no, I'm not going to say it because I don't want people to fucking Google what the name of the show is. But basically it was like, why are kids today so fucking stupid? Like this person, drinks gasoline and shoots himself in the arm for fucking like kicks and like, it's like Jackass style stuff. But he was like a fucking adult with like a wife and kids. And there was like the family that they flew out from Florida, like their kids were like teenagers and they were smoking spice and they were getting like high on synthetic weed, and that was like the big thing where like you're tearing our family apart, like shit like that. And his kids were like, we don't fucking care, like we're gonna just smoke weed and we love spice and salvia. And so I'm like sitting there like, what the fuck is going on? Like I'm like, none of these assholes, like, what is going on? And like, it was around the time that the guy that was sharing the green room with me was like a rave club promoter or whatever. And it was around the time that girl OD'd at EDC.
Oh,
shit.
Yeah, she was, I think, underage. She was like 14 or 15.
Yeah.
She snuck into EDC and she OD'd. So they were like, raves are terrible, kids are dying, like, you're going to a rave, you're going to get drugged and you're going to die. So like he was there to talk about like how raves aren't that and this and that. And they get to me and I'm like sitting in a crowd full of like just random ass like old ladies, and like Dr. Phil walks up to me and was just like, we have another guy here that likes to mutilate himself and put things into his body. And then like, I was like, stand up, Evan. Let's see what's going on. And like, so they were like talking about the implant in my hand, and they took pictures of my hand before and they put them on the screen. And then like the ladies were like, oh my God. And, like, the people who were like next to me were like looking at me, and like they straightened my hair. So like my hair was down really low and you couldn't see like all the shit I had in my ears. So they were only fixating on like my hand. And he was just like, how do you live your life like that? Like, aren't you afraid of what people are going to think? And I'm like, I remember pulling my hair back. And I'm like, well, when you fucking look like this, like, you don't really, I can't do anything about my hand. Like, my big stretched ears and, like, the big holes and, like, my cartilage piercings. And I was like, I'm not really worried about, like, what my hand looks like. And he was being very, like, condescending and, like, kind of, like, all, like, gotcha. Like, oh, yeah, I just burned you. Like, I'm an old experience. I'm a doctor, so I'm gonna like fucking belittle you and talk down to you. And I was like talking shit back to him. because we talked for like 5 or 6 minutes, but they cut so much of it down. So the segment of me talking was only like 2 or 3 minutes, and it was all like him just like, you know, talking down to me and belittling me. And there was like one instance where like he said something like snarky, and I made like a smart ass like remark, or I was like, meh, like whatever, kind of like my normal like, I don't fucking care, like look and like shrug. And then that was like the end of it. But yeah.
Did you get paid for that?
No, I didn't get paid for that.
Really?
Nothing. Yeah. They told me in the beginning they weren't able to pay me. But I was like, whatever, because I was supposed to be like on a, you know, big huge panel talking to people.
Yeah.
And then it turned into that. They literally switched it up on me like 10 minutes before I was supposed to be out there. I wouldn't have been on the show if I knew that that's what they were gonna do. So I was just like, what the fuck?
Wait, how old were you when this happened?
Maybe 20, 21.
Dang,
Yeah.
that's insane, dude.
Yeah, it was fucking nuts. And then like, I had to like drive home and go to work right after that. And then like a year or two later, I was at the skate park and some kid was like, holy fuck, you were on the Dr. Phil show. And I was just like, what? And I was like, yeah, I was sick at home from school, and I was like watching TV with my mom, and they showed that episode, and I was like, Mom, I know that guy. He goes to the skate park. And it's like, you know, I fucking knew that I was gonna run into you, and I was just like, fuck.
No
I'm so
pictures, please.
embarrassed.
No
Yeah.
pictures.
Yeah, I was so embarrassed, and I was just like, fuck it.
Did that affect like your work at all?
No, not really. I mean, a little bit online. Like there were, because so the people that were supposed to be on the show with me, they canceled on them and just kept me. And I don't know if the producers just said that, oh yeah, like we're gonna just keep him or whatever. But a few of the people were like mad at me, like it was my fault that they weren't on the Dr. Phil show. So people were like messaging me and being like, "Fucking watch your back. I'm gonna fucking kick your ass." Like, you know, shit like that. And I'm just like, okay, like, cool, that's awesome. He was like, yeah, you better hope I don't find out where you live. And I'm like, well, here's my address, here's my phone number. Like, fucking pull up, pussy. Like, you know, it was like a grown ass fucking man too.
Yeah.
It wasn't like, you know, a kid. So I was like, dude, you're like fucking 40, like, you know, and you're threatening me. But well, here's my address. Here's my work address. Like, here are the days I'm at work. Like, please, come on. You're like, you know where to find me, type shit. But like I mean, I wouldn't say like it. Yeah, it affected my. There was like a week or two of like people harassing me online. It was just kind of like, I think they were just jealous because they didn't get to be on the TV show, which I mean, fucking was stupid anyways. But you know, things like that, and people were like, I can't believe that like you're exposing these secrets, you know, to the body modification world. And I'm just like, calm down, bro. Like, calm down. I'm fucking nobody. Nobody's gonna watch that shit. Like, I'm not bringing down the piercing industry by like talking about an implant I had on my hand. Like, pump the fucking brakes.
Yeah.
You know.
So going back to like piercing talk to kind of steer into the whole you opening a business.
Yeah.
What was like the piercing that you've done that made you the most nervous the first time you did it?
I mean, basically anything and everything. I still get nervous to do piercings to this day. I've been piercing since 2007. I mean, because people trust me with their bodies, whether it's an intimate piercing or not. It's just like, you know, what if I fuck it up? Granted, they're not like permanent, but it's like, you know, it's something that every now and again I'm like, fuck, like I haven't done this piercing in a while, or like this person's anatomy is, you know, more tricky or difficult to work with. Like the ear fold's weird, or not weird, it's a wrong word, but you know, the ear folds unnaturally that I'm used to, or like, you know, the part of the body that they want pierced isn't suited necessarily to hold the piercing, things like that. But I mean, my very, very first piercing was like a set of earlobes, and that was super easy. They kind of were already pierced, so I wasn't really having to do much. On like a old coworker and friend of mine. And I was like, oh, cool, this is awesome. My piercings were great. Jewelry went in really easy. And I'm like, dude, I know what I'm doing. Like, hell yeah. And then the second one, I did somebody's septum, and it was a fucking nightmare. A nightmare. I had no idea what I was doing. I shouldn't have been fucking allowed to try. I mean, it was on another coworker of mine. It wasn't like a paying customer, but it was still like, the first piercings I did was earlobes on somebody who'd already been pierced. Like, I didn't have to really know what to do, but like, septum piercings are really fucking hard to do. And, you know, I'm like, okay, like, yeah, I'll try this. And like lined everything up with like the tool and the needle. And I just like figured like, okay, I'm just going to have to do that. And the needle's going to go through. And I just basically fucking poked her face with the needle and dropped the needle. And I'm like, what the fuck? Like, why is the needle on the floor? And then she's like bleeding all down her face because like poked her nose with a needle. And I'm like, what the fuck am I doing? And my mentor's like looking at me like, fucking fix it. I'm like, what do you mean fix it? Like, I don't know what I'm doing. Why am I doing this? And she's like, I thought you knew what you were doing. You said yesterday you know what you're doing. You pierced, so and so's ears. And I'm like, yeah, but fucking you're supposed to be teaching me. Like, I've never done this before. And it was a fucking nightmare. And I was just like, fuck.
But I mean, you're like a lot more confident, like, or more comfortable, I guess.
I would say so, yeah. But like I said, every now and again I get like,
There's still
jitters.
those
Yeah,
nerves.
of course, because it's like, I just want to make sure that I'm giving everybody the best possible piercing that I'm capable of doing. And, like there's certain little aspects or hurdles to piercing people in general that make my job a little harder. So it's just like, well, I really need to be on my toes with this or just this is a person. I know I'm going to put them through pain and I hope it's not for naught, because if I fucking pierce this person and they go through this, sometimes intense pain aspect and it's just like not what they want, it sucks. It fucking sucks to like see somebody's just joy leave their face when they like look at a piercing I did that was wrong in the mirror or whatever. They're just like, I can tell they don't like it. And they're like, no, it's good. I like it. And I'm like, it's I can tell in your body language, and I'm just like, that sucks. So there's always like little things like that in my head, or like, imposter syndrome is fucking huge, where I'm just like, fucking, why don't I have 10,000 followers on Instagram like the other piercers, or things like that, I'm like, fucking, am I really good at doing my job, or, things like that. But with, years of experience, I do feel comfortable and confident, of course, doing any piercing. But every now and again, I'm just like, do I got this? And then like,
And
like, oh yeah, I got it. I was just nervous to get started, but it went by without a hitch.
Yeah, and recently you were doing like guest spots here and there, like traveling. How was that?
It was fun. It was super fucking scary because working in other like areas that I'm not familiar with or used to, a whole new clientele, different demographic of people. Working with strangers, if I'm going up to a shop where I don't like know anybody, then it's just like, are they going to be cool? Are they going to be cool with me? Like, am I going to say or do something, that they think is wrong, or, things like that. And, like, that's like nerve wracking, and that makes things way, way harder, but it's also very like enriching and rewarding because I get to like work with other people and I can like watch how somebody else does something, because, you can have 10 different people doing the same piercing and it may be done 10 different ways. Though there's little things you can pick up here and there. And that's like the one thing I loved about traveling is like I can watch other people pierce, just immerse myself in other like, environments and other demographics and cultures and just be like, oh, cool. Like, this is fucking awesome.
Yeah. And now that leads me to what you announced.
Yeah. I should have saved it for this. I should have like fucking exclusive Betamax.
No, it's fine. It's fine.
Yeah.
I mean, so what led to that decision? Like, what all went into it?
So, I mean, I had been kicking around the idea of like opening a shop for years.
Yeah.
But it's expensive.
Yeah.
You need a lot of starting capital. So a lot of it was just like, I don't really have a lot of money. I don't want to take out loans. I don't want to like borrow money from people. I don't want to be in debt to anybody.
Yeah.
Things like that. I want to be able to like build something of my own, because as long as I've been piercing, I've been working in other shops and I've been working really hard. I've been making tons of money for somebody else. The last shop I was at, well, Apogee, not the last shop I was at, but the shop before the last shop I was at, I was there for like 6 years.
Yeah.
And I like worked my way up from being like the lowest person there, like as far as piercing wise, to becoming like the studio manager, and like was like basically running the shop. I was doing all the inventory. I was buying all the jewelry. I was basically curating this shop how I would want my shop to be and how I want my shop to run. And I was making a lot of money, but for somebody else. And I was just getting shit on time and time again. I'm like, dude, why am I working so hard and like, you know, not getting properly compensated for it, or just getting talked down to, where it's like, well, fuck you. Like, you just let me do my job. Let me make you a shit ton of fucking money. But let me be happy. If I want to buy the things I want to buy, or if I want to do the things I want to do, like, it's going to make the shop prosper. let me do that. Don't get in my way.
Yeah.
I felt like I always had like a vision on how I wanted things to go, and they were working out in other aspects for other people. So I was like, why don't I just do that for myself? So I kind of had always been kicking around that idea, but it was just like, do I have the money for it? Do I have the skills or expertise to do it? I don't know the first thing about owning a fucking business, or let alone doing all the things that I have to do to get a business going, let alone a body art business in San Diego. It's a lot of fucking paperwork.
Yeah.
So I'd say the last 3 years, I've been talking with the county, talking with the city, talking with the state, getting licensing and permits and things like that to like become a wholesaler of body jewelry, to buy things, tax permits, tax IDs, learning how like zoning works in San Diego, acquiring accounts with various different jewelry vendors and stuff like that. So it's just been a lot of that for a long time. And then just like slowly buying things here and there, like specific machinery to like sterilize my equipment and like jewelry cases and like, furniture and chairs, just grabbing stuff I see along the way until like I can find, the spot for me, or like to where I feel like, okay, I can finally make the jump. And a lot of it was like self-doubt, of course, being like, I'm afraid of the unknown. Like, whatever limited funds I have are going to be sunken completely into this. And if it doesn't work out, like, what am I going to do?
Yeah.
Like, am I going to end up on the streets? Like, if I have no money to pay my bills, like, so a lot of it was like that. And like, I mean, even up to last week, I mean, fuck, today, I'm thinking that. Like, the last 3 or 4 days, I would wake up at like 4 or 5 in the morning, like, oh, fuck, like, am I really going to do this? Like,
What was the catalyst that like made you be like, fuck it, it's being done?
So the most recent shop I was only at for like 10 months. And it was a horrible work environment. I was unhappy with the shop before that I was at long term. And I wasn't quite ready to make the switch into finding a space on my own. Because I felt like I didn't have enough money to like get started, and the few places that I went and toured to try to make work, just didn't work out. Whether it's like the people decided not to rent to me, or just decided, well, I don't really have the capital to do this. Like, I'm not going to be able to like afford to sink my money into buying jewelry, into renovating the space, or things like that. So I took a job at a different shop because I was like, well, I need to make money. And the shop offered me a lot more money. And I was like, okay, cool. Like, I'll do that, in the short term. And I was kind of on the fence about that. But at the shop I was at long term, I got hit with an ultimatum to do something that I was uncomfortable doing with. So I quit like on the spot. I'm never good with the confrontation when it comes to like somebody giving me an ultimatum. I'm so fucking stubborn. So I got like threatened with my money. And if I didn't, do something that the owner wanted me to do, that I was like, it's just not what I want to do. It's against like my morals, my principles. So no, I'm good. And like, I quit that day. And so then the next day I went and started working this other shop. And it was like, it was okay. It was like, oh yeah, it's busy. I'm making a lot of money. And then but the people who owned it just weren't nice. They were just horrible to work with. It was a couple, so they were constantly fighting. It was just like a super stressful, like bad work environment. So I barely made it 10 months there. But, the only fortunate aspect is like, since I was making more money, I was able to save a lot more money. So that kind of like got to a point where I felt a little bit more comfortable with making that jump. I was still looking for places here and there while I was still employed at that other shop. And then I hit a breaking point where me and the owner like got into it. I was like, fuck this. I can't keep working here. I'm like so stressed working here. I'm literally like crying on my drive to work because I know how fucking bad the day is going to be, type thing, where it's just like, I don't want to fucking do this anymore. I was like, I almost got a job at the post office. I was just like, dude, I'm done piercing. Like,
oh shit.
Yeah, this is the third or fourth shop that I've been at where I'm just like, why are like these people so incompetent? Why are people so fucking mean? Like, I'm tired of like having a boss just breathing down my throat. Or just people are mean in general. So like just being talked down to fucking sucks. And like the area that I was in was a very like affluent area. So the people thought just because they have money, they can treat you like shit. And I was like, you can't treat me like shit. And the owner's like, they can treat you like shit. They're literally paying us thousands of dollars. So they're going to talk to you however you want. And if you say anything about it, like, fuck, well, you won't have a job here type thing.
Yeah.
I'm just like, fuck this, dude. Like, no. Like it's not what I signed up for. Like you're not paying me enough money to be fucking humiliated on a daily basis. Like I'm good. So yeah, I left there, and I was like kind of more of a just like I was like lost. I didn't know what I was gonna do because I was just like, well, like either I'm gonna like fucking get a job at the post office or like Trader Joe's or whatever, and maybe eventually find a piercing like studio, or I'm just gonna just kind of dig my heels in and look, and that's basically what I've been doing since October.
And you're not doing it alone, right? From what you told me.
Yes and no. So as far as my piercing aspect, yes, it's kind of all just like me. Like I'm handling buying all the jewelry, all that, things like that. Because I didn't want to like the same reason why I didn't want to like take a loan out or like borrow money is I didn't want to be intertwined with somebody, and I didn't want somebody's money to be an influence on the things that I want to do as far as owning a business. If somebody's like, hey, I gave you $30,000 to open your business, I want you to do X, Y, and Z. Well, I'm like, I'm appreciative of the money you gave me, but like, I don't want to do that. I'm opening a business to do the things that I want to do. I want to work the way that I want to do. So that's like the main aspect is just like, I want to do the things that I want to do. I want to carry the jewelry that I want to carry. I want to just run the shop the way that is most comfortable for me. That'll allow me to give you the best possible service, to treat people the best possible way they can be. Things like that. But yes, I do have a business partner. They are a tattoo artist who are just going to be focusing on tattooing while I'm just focusing on piercing, but we will be in the same studio space.
That's nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a good combo.
Oh, most definitely.
Yeah. Good idea.
Wayne Frederickson, you're the best.
Dude, yeah, like when you told me about that, I was like, dude, that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, because he and I had been kicking around the idea for a while. Because when I was first looking at spaces, I was constantly talking to him. Because I look up to him. I mean, we were like the same age, but like he's had multiple businesses that have been fucking stellar, been kick ass. And I'm like, dude, how?
Yeah,
how?
Exactly.
Like, please, like, I'll fucking help me out. Like, talk to me. Like, let me know what I can or can't do. Like, let me know what did and didn't work for you. Things like that. So he, was a constant like source of inspiration as well as information for me. And he was always just like, well, if you like a space and you can't really afford it, like, let me know. Maybe, it'll work out. I can come, work a couple days there, or like we can go in on it together, things like that. So it'd been a lot of like back and forth with that, where like he'd be looking at spaces and he'd send me these things. We'd be like, oh, here's this one, here's that one. So we were constantly just talking about it, going back and forth. But like I was saying earlier, it'd been like I would find a space that was like perfect for just me, and would try to get that space, and it just wouldn't work out. Or it'd be another space, like, oh, this is an amazing space, but like I can't afford, the rent, and I don't need like 1,000 or 1,500 square feet to start. Like I would love to have a space that big, but like if it's just me working, I can't, utilize that. So he said, well, what about Wayne? Like, what's up with you? And so we were constantly doing that back and forth, but I think finally found a space that like is gonna work.
In San Diego?
Yeah, right. Like 3 or 4 miles from my house. It's in a pretty like busy, populated area of San Diego. It's in a neighborhood called Bankers Hill. It's like right in the middle of San Diego, where like 3 or 4 blocks south, and you're in like downtown San Diego. 3 or 4 blocks north, and you're like in Hillcrest, that's where like Tang Records is, and, those areas over there. I'm not sure how familiar you guys are with Hillcrest, but it's kind of all there where like the hustling and bustle of like San Diego is right there. And we're right by Balboa Park, which is like, one of my favorite places in San Diego. So it's there. It's like a little business suite. So like it's not like the most accessible space, because there's like a gate and stairs you have to walk up to in order to like get to our space. But like inside that business like suite is like more like service-based professions. Like, there's a law office, there's a couple hair salons, there's like a spa, there's like a permanent makeup and chiropractor place, things like that. And it's like I said, like, you're either gonna drive by it going down to downtown, or drive by it coming up from downtown into uptown, basically, on like a very, very busy street.
That's tight, dude.
Yeah, that sounds great.
Yeah. So like we signed the lease like last week, and then I think on Thursday got the keys to the space. So I've been slowly but surely like moving stuff in. every morning I like get up and I go to the space and just been like cleaning up, and I had to I had a friend help me out with fixing the sink in one of the rooms. Like it wasn't attached properly, so like was leaking all over the place.
shit.
Yeah, and then like I was at Lowe's today before I came here, like looking at like paint swatches and trying to get an idea of like what we're gonna do, because we got to, like, luckily we don't have to do a lot of renovation to it. Like the rooms are already built, their sinks are already in there, the floors are like great and solid. It's just a matter of like patching holes in the wall where like they put like wall anchors and like like where the like raised stucco is, we gotta like sand that down and like just repaint, make it look nice, and kind of furnishing it and things like that. But I have a bunch of jewelry cases that I've had for a few years, so I'm gonna like load in there and just things like that. So like Wayne and I have just been like shooting texts and phone calls back and forth, and we keep missing one another because like his days off, before I signed the lease, before I even knew that we were getting this place, I agreed to work in Long Beach.
Oh shit!
So that's why I'm here today. I'm going to Long Beach tomorrow. I'm going to be working Monday and Tuesday in Long Beach, and Wayne's off Sunday and Monday.
Yeah.
So the next week and the following week, I'll be there Sunday through Tuesday. And he's like, I'll be up in San Diego on Sunday and Monday. Like, let's meet up and do these things. And like, I'm gonna be in Long Beach these days, but I'm gonna be home and like, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. And he's like, I got appointments those days. So we're just like FaceTiming or like texting, and like, when I was at Lowe's today, I like grabbed a bunch of paint swatches and like texted him a photo. Like, these are the colors that I'm thinking, and things like that.
Do you have like an idea or an estimate of like when you want to open it?
I mean, as soon as possible would be ideal. The thing with getting like permature in San Diego is it's a slow process.
Oh, so you're still dealing with that?
Yeah, I submitted a bunch of like paperwork and like floor plans and things like that like a week and a half ago, and they were like, well, it takes 20 days minimum to review the plans, and then once we review them, we'll schedule a walkthrough. They'll come and they'll inspect the space and make sure that the plans that I submitted, like, okay, this is where you're going to have this is where we're going to have that, like kind of work with what the county requires, and then go from there, where it's like, okay, you need to do X, Y, and Z before we give you the permit. Yeah. So it's at least 20 days from when I submitted that, which is about a week and a half ago.
Okay.
I could pay an expedited process, which is like $600, and it'll be 3 to 5 days. But we haven't really started like renovating it yet.
Yeah, so there'd be no
there's
point.
no real point to it. So I'm hoping when I get home on Wednesday that I can start like cleaning and prepping the walls for
Does
paint.
it feel weird being in there, like knowing that this is going to be like your spot?
I mean, it doesn't feel weird. It's like, it's hard because like my girlfriend's always asking me, she's like, oh, how do you feel? And I'm like, I don't know. I just feel so like blasé about it, because like it doesn't really feel real. Like I'm not allowing myself
It hasn't
to be,
hit you yet?
Yeah, because I'm not allowing myself to be excited, because I'm afraid that someone's going to come and just like take it from me. Like, she was like, oh, you signed your lease. That's incredible. Like, how excited are you? And I'm like, well, the keys aren't in my hand, so I'm not that excited. She said, well, but you signed. I'm like, yeah, I understand that, but I don't have the keys in my hand. So anything can happen between now and then. Like, or it's like, oh, cool. Like, you have the keys now. You paid him, the rent. Like, it's your space now. And I'm like, yeah, it's my space, but like, I don't know.
This
like,
still needs to be renovated.
Yeah,
There's
exactly.
always something.
yeah. So like, I mean, I'm excited. Don't get me wrong, but I'm just like that security, like, blanket I have. I'm like, I can't allow myself to, be fully present, where it's like, yeah, I'm like 100% vulnerable. So I'm like jumping for joy, excited, or like most of it is being like, well, if I really allow myself to feel these emotions, I'm going to get hit with like the stress and the anxiety and the fear of like what's going to happen. So I'm like, if I stay guarded, then I can be like even keeled. But if I'm
dude, you've gone this far, so it's like,
I've been failing upward my entire life, so that's kind of where it is. Or it's just like I've been doing something right, even if I'm doing it wrong. So it's I'm where I am, for better or for worse, and either I'll get to where I need to be, or I'll get to where I want to be sooner than later. But I mean, I imagine like once like the space is like put together, and I'm just like, oh, like.
There'll be that moment where
I can start bringing people in, or I'm just like fucking gonna be an emotional wreck, like But and I guess until then, I can't properly like express, or I don't properly know how I'm feeling, because I'm just, it's still so uncertain in my head.
Well, I can't wait to see it, man.
It'd be exciting. You should let me pierce you.
We'll
I was
talk.
gonna say,
Yeah.
let's give Fidel some snake
Hell
bites.
yeah.
dude.
Yeah, dude, you gotta get pierced now.
I know.
Ever since Evan started piercing, he's always like, "Hey, let me pierce you. Let
Yeah.
me pierce you. Let me pierce you."
Dude, come on, you gotta get pierced now.
We'll talk. We'll talk.
Yeah,
We'll talk.
yeah. We won't put anything on record. You know.
No, I am, dude.
But man, thank you so much for like letting us pick your brain,
Yeah.
being so open with us. You know, like me and you have a pretty similar upbringing,
Oh,
and
of
like
course.
so. Like I definitely wanted to have like a long conversation with you, and I'm glad we like were able to, because you had said some stuff that I had no idea you experienced,
Yeah.
which was pretty crazy. Like
I mean, this is I obviously don't say a lot of these things a lot because
Yeah.
I feel a sense of shame, of course,
Yeah.
you know, and then I also I don't want to burden people with, you know, the heaviness that
Yeah.
life has, because we all struggle.
Yeah.
And I mean, growing up with you and seeing how rough your life was, like that was one of the things I would constantly tell myself. It's like I could have it so much worse.
It's crazy because that's how I felt like
Yeah.
about you.
So I would be like, you know, check yourself.
Yeah.
Like, you know, you have a really good friend who's fucking going through some shit right now. You don't need to be a little whiny bitch. Like, you're gonna need to be there for your friend. You know, you could have it so much worse. You know, it's always been like a defense, you know, mechanism that's always been there.
Yeah.
And yeah, you know, little things that, you know, obviously, it's funny, I'm speaking publicly and into a microphone that people are gonna like listen to this for. I'm like,
Yeah.
I really probably wouldn't tell many people these things, but of course, being here with you folks, I'm super fucking comfortable. So I'm like, yeah, why not? And like similar backgrounds, I know that I'm not gonna be like burdening somebody per se, or I'm not gonna like just dump this, you know, emotional baggage on you and
Yeah.
be like, cool, peace out, like later.
yeah.
Type thing where it's like, you know, you've been through similar things. I'm sure you've been through similar things. Like we all kind of understand like to approach each other with tenderness because, you know, life's fucking hard.
Fuck yeah.
Yeah.
I feel like a kid at a campfire, like watching, or listening to someone tell like folk tales.
Yeah.
Like I was like invested in your stories, man.
Yeah. I mean, you know, I wouldn't mind coming back and talking more if there's more. I mean, I wanted to I mean, obviously you and I could finish the conversation after this because like I wanted to like, I don't remember meeting you.
Yeah.
You know, I wanted to get into that, but it's also been something that, you know, we can continue this conversation after this, or
Yeah.
if you want to just like
We could always
talk about it and then bring it back up
next time.
later
Yeah.
or whatever. I'm down for that as well. But it was like, yeah, like, you know, saying I wanted to like learn about you guys as more and remember things because it's been a while.
It has.
But
But yeah, like I said, man, thank you again. Looking forward to seeing your place, dude.
Thank
Like,
you. Very,
I'm
very
like
much
super
appreciate
happy,
that,
super
yeah.
proud of you. Like, it's fucking tight, dude.
I appreciate that.
Can't wait to see it. But I'll have a link for your Instagram so
Thank
people
you.
could keep up to date and see when you announce it's gonna open,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
all that stuff. You know, definitely check it out, and we'll see everybody next time.
Hell yeah.
Keep moving, keep moving, go, ease up, keep it moving steady.